Chino también. That's going on right now. So just any first problem that you think that could be solved with technology or with work and could help take this challenge.
Bueno, pues muchas gracias. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Mario Palos Garza. Represento una empresa de logística de agencia aduanal mexicana, americana y transporte en México y en Estados Unidos. Los felicito por este dinámico programa, por este ejercicio, de poder sobre todo a nosotros involucrarnos con todas estas mentes nuevas, creativas, innovadoras, que son importantes para nosotros. Y bueno, importante y muy buena tu pregunta, yo creo que muy certera en el mundo logístico. Hoy o en estos días ha estado circulando en los medios que Laredo ya sobrepasó la operación de Los Ángeles, ya sobrepasó inclusive en días pasados la operación de Nueva York, y eso nos posiciona como el puerto terrestre o logístico operativo más importante de Estados Unidos. Qué orgullo estar en una ciudad, en una población donde nuestra logística se posiciona como las más importantes del mundo, o la más importante del mundo. Eso nos hace ver que hemos hecho cosas importantes, pero efectivamente faltan muchas cosas que debemos de mejorar. Y con esto les digo que Laredo, a pesar de su capacidad, de su experiencia, de su infraestructura, todos los demás puertos están buscando la forma de cómo llevarse el mercado de Laredo. McAllen, principalmente McAllen, ha hecho más puentes, más desarrollo y efectivamente nos ha ganado algo del mercado. ¿Qué es uno de los grandes problemas que genera, uno de los grandes obstáculos que todos los días nosotros los operadores lidiamos? Se llama el tiempo. El tiempo. ¿Y qué tiene que ver el tiempo con lo que estoy tratando de decir? Bueno, hay camiones que todavía hoy en día se tardan 5 horas, 8 horas en cruzar. Y nosotros todos los días tratamos de encontrar cuál es la solución para que esto sea más dinámico. Eso hoy en día lo que se busca a través de los tratados, a través de los acuerdos, a través de aduanas, de juntas, es cómo hacer más eficiente el comercio. El de tener un camión 4, 5, 8 horas genera costos altísimos para la industria, además de que hace ver muy mal al puerto, diciendo que en Laredo te tarda mucho tiempo y eso es lo que genera que mucha carga se desvíe de este puerto para irse a otros puertos. 2, además de que a nosotros como generadores de infraestructura, si yo compro un camión, el camión no me genera nada si lo tengo 5 o 8 horas parado ahí. Voy a ganar lo mismo por un camión parado 5 horas que 8 o 1 hora. Entonces, además de que ese chofer va a ganar lo mismo cruzando un camión que cruza en media hora o un camión que dura 8 horas. Entonces, ese chofer tampoco lleva el recurso a su casa, a su familia. Entonces, la primer situación que yo pongo en la mesa para que nos ayuden a pensar entre gobierno, iniciativa privada, sistemas, porque tiene que ver mucho los sistemas hoy en día en este tipo de información de cómo podemos adelantar un proceso para que un camión cruce en lugar de 8 horas o 5 horas en media hora, que es lo que debería, o 20 minutos debería tardarse un camión en cruzar. Y ese es uno de los retos que todos los días nosotros, los de logística, nos estamos enfrentando, que genera situaciones incómodas. Entonces esa es la primera propuesta, la primera situación que yo pusiera sobre la mesa. Y bueno, paso la ya me acabé el tiempo todo.
No, perfecto, muy buenos comentarios. Ahora pasaremos a Dionisio, a ver qué otro tema tú te has enfrentado día a día en tu oficina aquí en Laredo, tu oficina en otra ciudad, en la operación de cruce, en la operación con un cliente, cualquier otro tema que creas que sea un problema interesante que ahorita podemos pasárselo aquí a los jóvenes que están concursando para que nos den una solución.
Claro, como ven, yo no soy de tecnología. Bueno, primero que nada, muchas gracias por la invitación, por dejarnos estar aquí y poder compartir con ustedes todos estos retos que se presentan día con día en el comercio internacional. Mi nombre es Dionisio González de Castilla, soy agente aduanal mexicano. Actualmente funjo como presidente de la Asociación de Logística y Freight Forwarders de Laredo, aquí en Laredo, Texas. Una asociación hermana de la Asociación de Agentes Aduanales de Nuevo Laredo. Y pues bueno, ¿qué más puedo decir? Aquí el señor Mario Palos ya me robó todas las palabras. ¿Qué más? No. Pues como sabemos, pues sí, como lo mencionaron, pues nos acaban de nombrar el primer puerto terrestre a nivel nacional, que esa es una excelente noticia. Eso significa que nos vamos a tener demasiados retos para mantener ese lugar y definitivamente tenemos que mejorar, como bien mencionaba mi colega, los procesos. Lógico, estamos hablando de inversiones de infraestructura, tanto en las aduanas como en los puentes. Hoy en día ya se están trabajando en varios proyectos dentro de la aduana para agregar el carril fast, para mover la mercancía de importación a Estados Unidos más rápido. También la aduana mexicana ya también está haciendo varias adecuaciones dentro de su recinto fiscal y eso pues por ende nos va a beneficiar. Pero sí tenemos que pensar un poquito más adelante, porque estamos pensando en las necesidades de hoy en día. Tenemos que ver el potencial crecimiento que vamos a tener dentro de los 5, 10 años y estar pensando ahorita en infraestructura con ese posible crecimiento y más para mantener el nuevo nombramiento del puerto número 1 de todo Estados Unidos. Pero hablando en tecnología, hoy, bueno, también en infraestructura de la ciudad, calles, también ya, como pueden darse cuenta, están las ampliaciones acá en el Loop 20, el Overpass, para ayudar el flujo de los camiones, de las mercancías, pero también a nivel donde estamos nosotros en las bodegas, tenemos también problemas con, como no se mueve mucho la mercancía y como bien mencionaba mi colega, el tiempo es oro, ¿no? Entre más rápido podamos hacer más rápido, pues podemos trabajar más y lógico, bajan nuestros costos. Hoy en día los clientes pues piden un mejor servicio, un mejor costo y pues creo que la solución es eso, mover más rápido la mercancía, que los camiones no estén parados, tanto de carretera como los transfers. Y sí creo que una gran oportunidad, y se me viene a la mente porque está muy sonado últimamente, y gracias a Dios aquí a Laredo no ha llegado, pero sí se oye el famoso Uber Transporte, ¿o cómo se llama? Uber Transport. El cual los choferes van a tener una aplicación, van a estar checando quién tiene su mercancía lista para salir a carretera. El chofer pues prácticamente hace un check-in y el cliente pues ya sabe a dónde tiene que llegar y a qué horas tiene que llegar y en cuánto tiempo tiene que llegar, ¿no? Y pues lógico, ellos tienen que tener lista la mercancía para no demorarlos. Creo yo que es un área de oportunidad aquí en Laredo, que se pueda desarrollar una aplicación en conjunto para el beneficio de los transportistas, de los transfers, de los freight forwarders, logísticas, la misma ciudad. Tenemos la problemática que a veces los transfers están parados en calles, los está molestando la policía, ocasiona tráfico, lógico, multas. Y si hubiera un sistema parecido de una aplicación donde el chofer del transfer o el transportista que cruza su propia mercancía pudiera tener esa aplicación y las agencias aduanales y los freight forwarders la pudieran tener, igual, cuando el chofer ya esté disponible, que ya haya entregado la mercancía, checa su aplicación, en las oficinas de Mario Palos ya está lista una mercancía lista para cruce, hace el check-in. Ellos ya saben que en 5 minutos va a llegar el tractor, ganchan y cruzan. Y es mover la mercancía más rápido. Y y el operador también pudiera, como bien lo mencionabas, hacer más cruces, hacer más trabajo y pues lleva más dinero a su casa, ¿no? Para alimentar a la familia. Y creo que eso sería una gran oportunidad. Una aplicación tipo, perdón, no sé si lo puedo mencionar o no, pero el Uber Freight, algo que se puede hacer aquí localmente. Y también creo que le ayudaría a la ciudad con la policía, saber que pues, las calles están libres de unidades paradas a los lados de las calles, ocasionando tráficos y contratiempos. Pues bien.
Ok, muy bien, Nicho, muy interesante. Al final es un sistema que nos ayuda a coordinar mejor, no sea una compañía con su misma compañía, sino que todos estemos en la misma plataforma, en el mismo canal, que veamos el tráfico global y qué viene con nosotros y lo que va a venir a recolectar, picarle cuando esté listo para que el camión se acerque y no tener el traficar a lo mejor en las calles, ¿no?
Y uno ya sabe, uno como que se dedica a cruzar las mercancías, ya sabe que en 5 minutos va a tener respuesta de un chofer y no tener que decirle a sus clientes, ¿sabes qué? Pues no te puedo cruzar porque no tengo equipo. Entonces eso beneficiaría a la ciudad, a los importadores y a los consumidores como nosotros, como transportistas, agentes aduanales y freight forwarders.
Claro. No, pues muy bien, ese es el primer punto comentado de enlazar las operaciones genéricas entre todos, entre el tráfico de esta región, ¿no? de Laredo y las fronteras. Seguiremos con el tema, a lo mejor un tema en bodega en particular, en infraestructura o en personal, en recurso humano. No sé qué problemas pudieran platicar, si quieres que empiece Nicho en esta vez a ver con qué problemas tropiezas día a día o qué diferencia hay, ya sea en infraestructura disponible o en la misma que tienes tú, qué deficiencias tienes, o en el recurso humano, ¿no? Que es algo importante que estamos también tratando de sacar. Pues no sé, platica a ver si hay una deficiencia que encuentras que haya una solución tecnológica.
Milo, pues muy buena pregunta, le diste al clavo ahí. Sí, desgraciadamente hoy en día una de las problemáticas dentro del gremio de las agencias aduanales y freight forwarders es eso, ¿no? Que no tenemos capital humano. Estamos escasos, somos demasiadas, somos alrededor de 1,000, si no es que más, bodegas, el cual pues, algunos tienen de 20 personas, otros tienen 40, hay unos que llegan hasta las 200. Entonces creo que deberíamos de alguna forma utilizar la tecnología para promover el puerto, ya sobre todo que ya somos el número 1, promover el puerto y hacerlo interesante para personas de otras ciudades que les interese esto del comercio internacional. Vean a Laredo y vean la posibilidad que la ciudad les dé que les ofrezca algo la ciudad para ser atractivo para vivir aquí en Laredo y pues traer capital humano, que al final de cuentas son los motores más importantes en todos los trabajos, ¿sí? El capital humano.
Bueno, interesante, Nicho. Yo me voy a ir un poquito más enfocado a las bodegas, al manejo de los espacios de una bodega. Y los invito a que se imaginen que una bodega es como un vaso de agua, donde hay que llenar todo el vaso de agua. Porque a nosotros las bodegas, no importa el espacio, si está arriba, abajo, nos cuesta todo el espacio. Y administrativamente aquí en la bodega, como bien dicho, puede ser 1,000 bodegas, pues les puedo asegurar que casi son 900 que están mal administradas porque no hay un software que nos ayude a tener bien ordenados los espacios y coordinar bien cada una de las bodegas que tenemos. Además de que tenemos un espacio ya en Laredo, de que el precio de la tierra se ha incrementado mucho, no hay tierra para desarrollar bodegas, de tal manera que tenemos que administrar muy bien la bodega que tenemos. Entonces es una gran oportunidad para los desarrolladores. Estoy seguro que cualquier bodega les abrirá la puerta para que hagan un estudio de cómo entrar a una bodega, dónde ponerla, cómo administrar todos los espacios de esta bodega, hasta el techo inclusive, que debe usarse. Las contribuciones a las taxas que nos cobra la ciudad pues son caras para nosotros, y eso pues nos genera el costo que nosotros requerimos. Y ahí es un tema que estas bodegas, yo empecé mi carrera siendo bodeguero, y yo no veo diferencia desde que yo fui bodeguero hasta ahorita entre la diferencia de cómo se maneja una bodega. Imagínense, hace más de 40 años que las bodegas en Laredo se manejan igual. Y hoy es una oportunidad importante para ustedes, jóvenes, que hagan un desarrollo de esta parte, que es la parte económica, industrial más importante de Laredo. Las bodegas, más que las tiendas, más que los transportes, inclusive, hay más bodegas aquí en Laredo donde genera gran capacidad económica. Y entonces, esto ustedes nos darían en un punto medular, porque eso le daría a Laredo mucho más eficiencia. Muchas veces, muchos clientes se van de aquí efectivamente porque no hay capacidad de bodega, créanlo. Y yo creo que un sistema ligado con la logística, sobre todo, imagínense, conectar una mercancía que viene en camino con los espacios, tamaños, desde entonces ya tienes ubicado dónde la vas a ubicar en tu bodega, y luego eso también ya lo replicas con el transporte y le estás avisando al cliente que tú ya tienes esa mercancía o te va a llegar. Entonces es una conexión global con la operación de logística, no nomás el espacio de la bodega. Entonces hoy en día son de los grandes retos que las compañías buscan en su operación. Y voy a agregar algo más. Hoy el desarrollar un sistema pues es algo importante, pero la verdad es que el mundo de los sistemas ya está evolucionando, porque inclusive ya está la inteligencia de tal manera que hoy en día hay que poner algoritmos o cálculos dentro de toda la información. Y yo les digo a ustedes que nosotros los logísticos manejamos infinidad de información, números, valores, precios unitarios, fletes, costos, que la industria quiere saber cuánto le cuesta su producto para venderlo estando aquí en la frontera, por ejemplo. Una empresa como Walmart dice, yo ya quiero saber cuánto me va a costar mi producto cuando esté en Laredo, no cuando llegue aquí, yo lo descargue y luego después 3 días después ya sé. No, necesito cuando esté en Laredo. Pues eso no lo hacemos, y esa es una gran oportunidad que va ligado con darle un servicio eficaz a toda la industria, de que ellos ya puedan costear sus productos. Y nosotros tenemos toda esa información, pero no hemos podido todavía hacer el upgrade para que esto y la industria conectemos fuertemente con ellos y podamos ser reconocidos como un servicio industrializado. Ese es mi comentario.
Muy bueno los dos comentarios.
¿Me permites
Sí, claro.
agregar algo? Bueno, pues siguiendo con el tema del capital humano, ahorita mientras estaba hablando aquí mi colega, se me vino a la mente cómo pudiéramos mejorar lo del capital humano en base a una plataforma, de una aplicación. Se me ocurre poder hacer una aplicación igual así tipo Uber, ¿sí? Donde sea una bolsa de trabajo, donde la persona que ande buscando algún empleo, ¿sí?, puede entrar y ver qué industria, qué gremio anda solicitando la ayuda de alguien, o viceversa, como empresario, poder entrar a una plataforma donde sabemos que podemos entrar y ahí están enlistados todos los que andan buscando una oportunidad de trabajo, y de alguna forma pues que ahí esté su currículum, toda su información, y si vemos algo de ahí mismo, poderlo contactar ahora sí con la presión bueno, ya no puedo decir botón porque ya son pantallas, ¿no? Creo que eso pudiera ayudar también mucho para la contratación del capital humano.
Claro, es algo que yo estaba pensando, y lo voy a cambiar a inglés, así nomás voy a platicar un poquito lo que dijeron en inglés, por si acaso hay gente que no entiende bien español. So right now the two problems is the labor, getting qualified labor, getting space in the warehouse. I'm going to add a little bit to the labor side that Nicho was talking about. he was talking a little bit of, I guess, a LinkedIn, which already exists, Facebook and Instagrams, and people put a lot of social, it's all social media, but I think, I don't know, I'll tell you a quick story. I don't know if you guys know how Facebook started. I see really young faces. It started around my age, when I was in college. I'm 36. I was probably a sophomore in college. It wasn't a social media per se. It was to put out your information, what classes you were taking, and then you would choose, what people that you were in your class. It was pretty much for bigger universities, and you would find people that you were in your same section, and you could instant message it for homework or see if they have any study groups. And that from there grew to social media and more, see what I'm doing, trips, and now selling and news and all that stuff. So also LinkedIn, before when it came out, that was a perfect place to find great qualified labor, and you would post your resume. But then again, right now it gets a little more complicated per se. You really have to sit there for a couple hours and search for resumes. But you have to put keywords and scroll down. Maybe there's easier ways. I guess we're not experts in LinkedIn, but something locally that could happen is if right now we could just basically just click and say and it could be for all the industries, where in a quick button we could see how many forklift drivers with experience are there available. Say even if it's I don't know if you guys use Bumble or Tinder, but pretty much in a left or right or up or down. I don't use it. I've been married for 10 years, so I'm prohibited to even use those words. But it's just in 2 minutes, I want to see who's available, what's their curriculum, what do they look like, do they have capacity of what seminars they've been taking, what they've developed, maybe have your picture with them having, if they design their IT programs, maybe 2-3 different pictures of their IT programs they develop, or if they were forklift drivers, or if they were accounting managers. Just visibility right now, and new millennials coming in, we got less time to sit behind a computer and look. So maybe something that can, in question about 20-30 seconds, flip over candidates and what's available now, not sometimes in LinkedIn you spend 2-3 hours looking and sending emails and iMessages. Some don't answer 2-3 weeks later and they already have a job. They just post their resume there because that's what you're supposed to do. That's right now society asks for that, and we do that. We have our information there, but not everybody's looking for a job in LinkedIn or in Facebook or in Instagram. So maybe something, a quick app that could help us locate people that are looking for jobs right now, today, tomorrow, and that are close by, that are probably driving by, that I want to stop for an interview. And sometimes we work that way. We want to start interviewing people now for projects, but we want to get them now, and we don't want to waste the time and spending and waiting for 2-3 weeks for them to answer. So that's a little brief idea on how you could help us get a little faster on labor. I know there's a question out there, but I think we're going to wait to the end. So write them down so you won't forget what the question is, because they're really important, and half of this show is questions from you guys. So I know they're really important. We just want to go ahead with some topics and then pass them through. Okay, you could ask those questions, and yeah, we could probably go in and go through those. It's hard to see, but we'll also take regular questions. So that's for that. I don't know if you guys want to talk on maybe how technology has been affecting us on the downside. Maybe we're relying too much on technology now. Maybe our days, 20 hours of our days, rely on technology. And sometimes it's bad technology. Sometimes, for a quick example, how many people still use Excel to run their businesses or to run projects? Excel's a great program to get started, but we just got so used to it. We use it, I think, in excess, and with a miss of a formula or a plus or minus on one little cell, the whole thing could turn bad. So maybe, and it's a really easy tool to use, but we depend on it too much, I guess. So I don't know, that's one example I see that we depend about technology too much. But I don't know qué ejemplo podemos dar de una tecnología que nos afecte, que a lo mejor estuviera mejor adecuada o mejor diseñada, nos puede dar a confiar más o no lo usamos porque le tenemos miedo, no sé, algún tema en tecnología que a lo mejor le pueden dar aquí con unas pincitas aquí los ingenieros y ya le queda el 100%, no sé qué ejemplo pudieran dar de una tecnología que creemos que tiene deficiencias y que dependemos mucho todos los días de ella.
Pues bueno, aquí me adelanto. Definitivamente sí creo que estamos en la era de la tecnología. En lo personal sí estoy convencido de que gracias a la tecnología nos hemos podido mover más rápido, que dependemos de ella, sí dependemos de ella. Creo que lo que estamos pasando ahorita, que ahorita vemos 3 generaciones todavía, están las generaciones, pues en el caso mío, mi padre ya falleció, pero era una persona que estaba en contra de la tecnología. O sea, él decía, yo aprender ahorita, a estas alturas de mi vida, aprender, no. Luego en el caso mío, pues yo empecé con la tecnología terminando universidad. Igual, me acuerdo, eran las computadoras Toshiba, las famosas Toshiba, las primeras que salieron a color, y pues así con el miedo, ¿no? De a qué oprimirle y se va a borrar, etcétera, etcétera. Lo que sí definitivamente creo que debemos de hacer, porque la tecnología no nos la vamos a quitar, al contrario, es algo bueno que está pasando, es que más gente conozca el manejar la tecnología, entenderla, comprenderla. A lo mejor he escuchado y me ha tocado ver así algunas aplicaciones. Yo vuelvo con las aplicaciones, ¿verdad? Pero es que pues cada quien, pues todo el mundo ya tenemos los teléfonos, ¿no? Entonces realmente usamos más el teléfono, las aplicaciones, que ya las computadoras como tal. Pero sí he visto y escuchado de unas aplicaciones que es como tipo, como decíamos en México, para aprender inglés, follow me, ¿no? Una aplicación que puedas hacer una pregunta rápida y inducir a muchas personas a conocer, a comprender, porque ese es el temor. Yo lo veo en mis oficinas, de que mucha gente pues, le da miedo, porque dice, aquí lo oprimo a algo que no deba y se borra y se caen los servidores, etcétera, etcétera. Sino algo que le ayude a toda persona de todas las edades, de todas las generaciones. Lógico, no hablo de ustedes los jóvenes, porque ustedes ya crecieron. Es más, en vez de chupón les daban un iPad, ¿no? Órale. Pero sí creo que estamos ahorita en esa transición, donde vemos muchas personas que realmente no conocemos mucho de la tecnología, nos han rebasado. Yo me considero conocedor, pero ya llega mucho momento que agarro a mi hijo y digo, ay, híjole, se me atoró el teléfono, ayúdame. ¿Sí? Entonces, algo que se puede hacer en tecnología para enseñar al resto de la gente a cómo utilizarla.
Muy bien, gracias, Dicho. Aquí ya nos quedan un par de minutos más. No sé si Mario quiere cerrar con otro tema. Mario, que nos quieras compartir aquí otro tema que se te ocurra en esos últimos 25 minutos de escuchar y de platicar, a ver qué.
Bueno, hablando de la tecnología, de las cosas que nos afecten, curiosamente, los invito para que todos los nuevos jóvenes se involucren en este mundo logístico. Y algo relevante que pasa hoy en los mercados es que en el norte y muchos lugares se han desarrollado aplicaciones o programas de tal manera que hacen y controlan gran parte de la industria del transporte. Entonces, a través de un software, ellos están contratando transportistas y además ellos están haciendo la oferta hacia la industria, y simplemente por ese traspaso de intermediación, ellos se quedan con un gran parte del profit, de la utilidad de esta operación. Y Laredo pues siempre tiene que recurrir a ese tipo de recursos donde esas empresas pues empiezan estando en el norte. Y la verdad es que nosotros aquí tenemos muchos operadores que a veces no tienen carga, muchas oficinas o agentes aduanales que no tienen a quién dar de la carga y tienen que recurrir a esos recursos. Esa es una gran oportunidad que tienen los jóvenes hoy en día de desarrollar algo para este mercado, donde hay un gran mercado, gigantesco mercado de millones de dólares literalmente, y que literalmente esos mercados se los llevan hacia el norte. Y la verdad es que es algo que deberíamos de desarrollar aquí nosotros en la actualidad por la experiencia, por la infraestructura, por la cantidad tan grande que hay de carga aquí. Ya dijimos que somos el primer puerto del mundo. Todavía no me la puedo creer yo, espero que todos nos las creamos, pero somos el primer puerto. Imagínense la cantidad de negocio similar a ese que se genera. Es impresionante, la verdad yo voy a presumir algo que debo reconocer. La aduana mexicana tiene un gran sistema, un sistema desarrollado de muchos años a través, de hecho, con la asociación de nosotros, que hoy en día tiene una precisión de información que nosotros se la damos al final del día, pero ellos saben cómo controlarla. Y eso lo pongo también como información para que sepan que también hay información ahí muy grande que a veces nosotros no sabemos qué hacer con ella, y eso se refiere a cantidad de carga, productos, mercancías que cruzan por y diferentes puertos, y que ustedes pueden hacer uso de eso como negocio. Entonces, pues ese es mi comentario sobre la parte de sistemas, que yo creo que es una gran oportunidad.
Milo, ¿me puedes regalar un minuto para hacer un comercial?
Claro, claro.
Y no es de sabritas ni nada, pero es un comercial. No, quiero aprovechar este momento para invitar a todos los jóvenes, sobre todo los desarrolladores de aplicaciones y softwares y todo eso. Las puertas de ALFA está abierto. Si ustedes quieren conocer un poquito más de la operación, de lo que hacemos día con día, para poder ustedes conocer definitivamente, para poder desarrollar hay que conocer bien las necesidades. Acérquense con nosotros a ALFA, y nosotros con todos nuestros socios podemos contactarlo con uno de ellos para que los puedan visitar en sus oficinas y les platiquen sobre sus necesidades, sobre sus sistemas, sus procesos. Hablaba hace rato del proceso de los transfers, cómo operan, cómo le hacen para poder llegar a desarrollar alguna aplicación o algún software. Entonces, las puertas de ALFA están abiertas. Ahí luego dejo unas tarjetitas, o aquí ya tienen mi información, y con mucho gusto estamos para servirles.
Bueno, gracias Nicho, gracias Mario, muy buenas ideas. Pues sé que podemos estar aquí 2-3 horas hablando de lo que nos gusta, lo que hacemos todos los días, y de lo que Laredo nos dio, y ahora con el afán de todos juntos, pues llegamos a ser el puerto número 1, como tú lo comentaste, como lo comentamos. Ahora queremos pasar, vamos a tener unos 20-30 minutos de preguntas y más interacción entre ustedes, con nosotros. A lo mejor Roger nos va a poder ayudar ahí arriba, porque no lo leo, o si quiere que me vaya para allá, lo puedo hacer. But, so right now we're going to start with some question and answers and some discussion with the panelists from you guys, and from the questions that our audience has been posting.
We'd like to invite everyone to this spot right here. So you speak into the microphone. We are live streaming this event. We are recording all of the questions and the dialogue. So if you have any questions, please come up to the microphone so we can continue this conversation. Thank you all so much for opening up the conversation and sharing with us some of the issues you see.
Thank you, Roger.
Muchas gracias.
Ángel, please. How are you, Ángel?
I wrote down many questions here, but I'm just going to ask one for right now. Have you taken this forum to the university or the college? Because I think that it's needed badly. Most of the students out there are majoring in criminal justice when most of them don't even know that we are the #1 inland port. And it's sad. I've been here 25 years. I came here from San Antonio, and I haven't really seen any great changes with the technology that we have. And it's good to hear Mr. Palos bring some of the refreshing things that are essential to the trade business. And if you take this to the university and the college, I guarantee you that some of these kids would change their major. And when they know what can be done, because it's needed badly. And so I'm here, I've been trading with Mexico, or not trading, because I'm the one who carries everything from Monterrey here. For the
Question? We're not ready to statements.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What was your question?
Well, his question was that have we think about taking this type of forums to the universities? I guess I'll go ahead and answer that question. Great question, Angel, and I guess right now, first of all, this is a great opportunity for all the young crowd here and the Laredoans to see what goes on. I know everybody's hearing the word Laredo. We've always been top 2, top 3 port, and that keeps getting repeated. But that's good. Keeps reminding everybody that we're number 1, we're number 2, and we're number 3. We're a really important port. But I guess, like Angel says, we still need to do a lot more, because we need to get those more students involved in the international trade, transportation, and logistics. We are working very close with LCC. Dr. Solis and his team have been past 2, 3 years, 4 years, strongly supporting this industry. We've gotten some great students doing their internships with us, and converting to full-time. So that's been great. We're probably going to move faster pace. TAMIU as well, we have our annual symposium there. We invite students to come in and hear the panelists. It's mostly about logistics worldwide. So it does get put out, but we're more than happy to take this panel anywhere else in school, maybe do it twice or 3 times a year, probably right before in high school, so from there they could start and listen what's up there. But definitely a great idea, and we're more than happy to work with the community in that sense.
Milo, just to add up, ALFA also works with Laredo Community College. I think right now is Laredo College, or what? LCC, what used to be LCC on my days. ALFA works with LCC and try to make courses so people that are interested in learning what we do, and we can give them that knowledge. Also, we work with UT in Laredo, and they give us courses about Mexican law, the Mexican custom law, so they can understand, because most of the personnel that works with the freight forwardings has to deal with the Mexican compliance, and we also work with the University UT in Nuevo Laredo.
Thank you. Okay, next question.
Sí, dos preguntas. Primera, Mario Palos, manejaste de bajar tiempos. ¿Es factible? Hay un embudo en la aduana americana de los productos que vienen de México. Se hace un embudo por ahí y no se ha podido resolver. Hay opción de abrir horarios. ¿Crees que por la situación de seguridad eso no se puede utilizar las 24 horas? No nada más aduanas, sino todo el proceso. Y que si hay canales de líneas de seguridad o caminos de seguridad segura, ¿sería factible que las empresas pudieran utilizar servicios 24 horas? Es una pregunta para ti. Segunda, a Dionisio, hablas de nuevas tecnologías. Una de las tendencias es a trabajar desde casa, ya no gastar en tenerse que transportar a la oficina para realizar algunos procesos. Hay procesos que se aceptan. En el caso de ustedes, ya se está haciendo algunos experimentos en el caso de pequeñas empresas donde toda la documentación pues la hacen ya no en la oficina, sino la hacen. Y si nos vemos frío en eso, ustedes en sus oficinas, en sus escritorios, la persona no requiere papeles. Todo lo está haciendo sobre la computadora. ¿Qué tan factible está que empresas medianas y grandes estuvieran abiertos a que ese tipo de trabajos se pudiera hacer en forma remota, y con eso se bajan los costos y se aumenta la eficiencia?
Mario, pasamos con Mario.
Bueno, muy buena pregunta, y la verdad es que sí valdría la pena, porque tendríamos que trabajar conjuntamente, gobierno, iniciativa privada y ustedes los jóvenes. ¿Cómo participamos todos? Bueno, el tema de si se abre la aduana 24 horas al día no corresponde a los jóvenes, sino al gobierno. negociado y platicado con la iniciativa privada o los agentes aduanales y transportistas para poder darle confianza a los gobiernos de que este proceso sea seguro y confiable. Y que, bueno, que hay una cadena de logística que se le llama la cadena segura, donde una empresa mexicana tiene que estar certificada, el transportista, el agente aduanal, el transporte americano y la empresa en Estados Unidos. Cuando toda esa cadena está certificada, hay un carril especial donde el camión cruza muy rápido. Pero lamentablemente les digo que es menos del 5% las empresas que tienen o que usan toda esta infraestructura de beneficios que usa el gobierno. Y aquí es donde los jóvenes, a través de sus sistemas, deberían de implementar o platicar con los gobiernos que pueden desarrollar para nosotros y para el gobierno, que puedan enlazar esa información de confiabilidad y que exista un software donde todos entremos y pongamos información de la mercancía, importador, exportador, camión, placas, todo lo que tenga que conllevar, de tal manera que entremos todos en una base de datos y finalmente el puente pueda ser más viable. Entonces yo creo que en el trabajo conjunto, que es algo que tenemos que hacer, si no iremos perdiendo mercado y el crecimiento nos va a ir afectando en lugar de beneficiarnos, el hacer conjuntamente todos que nuestro puerto y nuestro puente sea más eficiente. Esa sería mi respuesta.
Gracias, Mario. Pasamos aquí a Nicho.
Bueno, sobre que si podemos trabajar de nuestras casas, pues sería excelente, ¿no? No soy experto, yo no soy ingeniero en sistemas. Lo que sé es de que ya hay una plataforma, se me hace que le llaman el NET o WebNet, algo así, el cual ya pues prácticamente estamos trabajando en la nube, ¿no? Ya muchos sistemas ya tienen esa capacidad de poder estar trabajando en línea, capturando en línea, paperless. Y pues aquí entra un poquito la forma de operar de cada uno de nosotros, si queremos llegar hasta esos niveles o no. En cuanto a tecnología, la tecnología ahí está. Ahora, aquí entramos, pues como son trámites gubernamentales, pues también creo que tendremos que considerar la parte pues legal, ¿no? Es información muy confidencial, que pues a veces al tener toda esa información en casa, pues se puede divulgar, pero sí creo que se puede lograr, pero sí tendríamos que estudiarlo más a fondo en todas las áreas, la cuestión legal, la cuestión operativa, porque al final de cuentas pues podemos documentar algo desde casa, pero la mercancía está en los almacenes. A veces hay que revisar la mercancía para poderla clasificar, para saber dónde la vamos a clasificar. Y pues tenemos que estar físicamente, porque ahí sí ni modo que nos llevemos las mercancías a nuestras casas, ¿no? Pero en cuanto a documentación, ya están las plataformas. Y sí, hoy en día ya se puede, hay algunos colegas que ya operan de esa forma, ciertas cosas ya documentan de otras oficinas, de otras oficinas desde su matriz o alguna sucursal que tengan o de las casas. Por plataforma y tecnología ya está.
Gracias, Nicho. Roger, we're going for one more question? Or a couple more questions, I guess.
If we can get a couple more questions, that'd be great. We have 2 lined
Ah,
up.
no, me dijeron que
we got-
dos.
No, we got a...
Sure. So we have
15
an online
minutes.
question from Arturo Covarrubias. He works for Cruise Automation. They focus on autonomous vehicles in California. And they'd like to ask you, how is the industry getting ready to adapt to self-driving technology?
We are very happy to hire trucks like that. La verdad es que, bueno, uno de los problemas que se está padeciendo hoy en día en la industria nuestra, que es el transporte, pues es la falta de operadores. Y entiendo y creo que la tendencia que sigue creciendo en el futuro es que los jóvenes hoy en día deciden prepararse, tomar una carrera, y ya no ser choferes. Y eso viene haciendo las curvas de tal manera que cae la contratación de choferes o de choferes disponibles y crece la demanda de servicio de transporte. Entonces, una alternativa en el futuro que no sea tan lejana sea que los camiones sean autónomos, ¿verdad? Y es algo que ya se hace pruebas. Estaba leyendo que se hizo una prueba con el US Postal Services en estos días, donde ya mandaron un camión autónomo y bueno, pues ya es algo que existe, no es algo que va a llegar en el futuro. Entonces yo creo que sí es algo indispensable. México hoy en día también tiene ese mismo problema, no es un problema solamente de Estados Unidos. Todos calculamos que en nuestros transportes en México tenemos entre el 15 y el 20% de camiones parados. Es una cantidad enorme, un costo enorme. Y bueno, pues buscamos cualquier alternativa porque cada día, y los números lo vienen indicando, donde el puente internacional de Laredo crece en su operación día con día. Y cuando dices crece, quiere decir que hay más necesidad de transporte y menos operadores. De tal manera que sí, pues vayan poniendo o camiones automáticos o vayan inventando algo así, porque ahí me mandan unos a Palos, Garza, por favor, que ya necesitamos ahorita.
Gracias, Mario.
Pues bueno, nomás sobre ese tema, pues ya vemos que en el transporte carretero, pues ya está saliendo camiones, ya han hecho pruebas. En cuanto a los cruces fronterizos, sí creo que se va a poder en un momento, pero sí es un gran reto, porque al entrar a los recintos fiscales es de mucha maniobrabilidad, donde hay mucho congestionamiento, los espacios son muy pequeños, entonces creo que el camión inteligente, por llamarlo de alguna forma, pues estaría un poquito más difícil. Que lo podemos lograr, si, a como vamos, sí creo que se pueda lograr.
Okay, muy bien. Thank you. Julian.
So the question I had was regarding, you spoke about the individuals that you hire. So this is going to be more of a two-part question. One, how, out of all the pain points you have in your industry, would you say human resource and hiring is one of the top? And if so, where have HR firms fallen and why aren't they not solving that? Because from what I've seen, especially looking at all the different temp agencies that exist out there, they tend to focus on your industry. So why have they not solved that problem? And what are you missing from them that you think the technology side of the whole thing can solve?
Okay, can I take that question? Okay, you know what? I think temp agencies are great, and the hire agencies are great, and we use them a lot. Again, it's a process. If I want to hire a CFO and a director or general manager, maybe I'll take the time it requires. You know, like saying, fire fast, hire slow, and it takes interviews and references and a lot of candidates. But I think the little niche that's missing is that quick hire that we need, the more unskilled or labor or starting from the bottom type of people that haven't had a job before, but they want to start in and learn the business from the bottom up. And that's that's something we need tomorrow and the next week. Forklift drivers, inventory control personnel, handheld processors, warehouse people, or data input clerks. Something that we need them from a soft side, and we're going to teach them up. And I think that's a quicker hire that maybe these temp agencies have the same thing. They got many curriculums and resumes or applications on their desk, and it's probably hard for them to go through them. And I think that's the niche that needs to work out. That's what I was saying. We probably need a little quick, slide left or right to be able to see who's around the area, who lives close by, that wants to work, and for them to happen in question of 20 seconds. I want to make sure that they don't mind working probably the night shift. They don't mind working 8 to 5, or they could only work 8 to 5 because they're going to school, or 8 to 3. Just in 20 seconds, be able to look at that and hire them really quick, or have our hiring managers, hire the fast hires in a matter of less than a day. So I think that's where the difference is on temp agencies and more professional. And they do support the work. They do a lot of forklift operators and warehouse personnel. But again, I think it's a slower process because, again, they get 10, 20 applications a day, and they call back 2 weeks down the road. Those people already have a job. So they take a good, couple days to get back to you or to send you the correct people to your office. Next question.
If somebody has a blue Tesla, may y'all please kind of move backwards a little bit? Yeah, this is kind of in the way. Thank you.
A what?
A blue Tesla.
Oh.
We're going to ask somebody to move. Parking lot's tight.
Okay, that's technology.
It drives itself, by the way.
Yeah, I just clicked it. Okay, move forward. Honda.
Bueno, tengo varias preguntas relacionadas que si están dispuestos a invertir en la tecnología, ya que he visitado ciertas empresas de logística, agencias aduanales, soy desarrollador software y tienen ese estigma con la tecnología de que no quieren invertir en la tecnología, pero sí en todo lo demás. ¿Están dispuestos a invertir en tablets, en un desarrollo de outsourcing, todo lo que conlleva para poder fabricar o desarrollar ese software para ustedes? Y la otra pregunta que es también si están dispuestos a dejar todas sus hojas de cálculos, todos sus Exceles para automatizar los procesos a lo que es debido a sus negocios.
Pues bueno, contestando una de las preguntas, como lo comenté muy al principio, sí estamos dispuestos, creo que la mayoría está dispuesto a invertir en tecnología, pero aquí el problema es, como lo mencioné, habemos ahorita 3 generaciones, ¿sí? Entonces creo que las personas que no es que no quieran invertir, es de que le tienen miedo a la tecnología. Por eso lo mencioné. O sea, ver una forma más fácil de poder enseñar a las personas mayores, inclusive a mi edad, ¿sí? que no conocemos, cómo entenderlo y perderle el miedo. En el momento que lo logremos, créelo, o sea, van a estar invirtiendo en tecnología. El ejemplo está, si ahorita agarramos a uno de ustedes, a los millennials, y lo ponemos de dueño, para mañana cambia todo. Invierte en tecnología. ¿Por qué? Porque ellos no le tienen miedo, crecieron con eso. Entonces creo que es un reto muy fuerte. Estamos cruzando esa etapa donde habemos tres generaciones, lo vuelvo a repetir, donde la generación mayor pues no existía tecnología, ¿sí? Luego estamos los medios, los dos, que pues en universidad nos agarró la tecnología y pues hemos ido aprendiendo poquito a poco y hemos ido perdiéndole el miedo. Y pues lógico, tenemos a los nuevos jóvenes como ustedes que están aquí, pues que ya crecieron con la tecnología, ¿sí? Entonces ya no le tienen miedo. Entonces creo que ese es un reto.
Claro, gracias, Nicho. Ahora hay con Mario a ver qué puede decir.
Yo voy a diferir un poquito con Nicho, o un muchito. Un muchito.
Perdón.
Bien invitado, te felicito por tu pregunta. Y es una realidad, la gente no quiere invertir. Nosotros tenemos un departamento de desarrollo muy grande y hoy en día le damos más importancia al tema del desarrollo. Yo soy mayor que Nicho. Entonces, es cuestión de saber qué es lo más importante en tu operación hoy en día. Y los agentes aduanales y los transportistas debemos de entender que hoy en día, si no tenemos tecnología, estamos obsoletos. Y si Nicho está esperando que llegue su generación, pues qué bueno, porque yo me voy a dar sus clientes.
No,
esa es la verdad.
Habemos de todos,
Entonces,
hablo en generalidades.
Tú narraste ahorita tu escena y yo digo, pues qué padre, ahorita me pongo a buscar. Porque la verdad es que cuidado el que no se ponga al día con eso. Y no nomás eso, los invito, cuando gusten, pónganse un grupo de ustedes y Palos Garza para que vean lo que hemos desarrollado. Y podemos interactuar. A mí me encantaría encontrar en ustedes un proveedor externo y yo los contratamos y si ustedes nos dan una buena idea de lo que hemos hecho y cómo nos pueden ayudar a mejorarla o cómo nos pueden ayudar a sacarnos de lo que creemos que ya hemos hecho. Hemos hecho desarrollos que creemos que son muy padres, que literalmente hoy la industria viene y nos ve y nos aplaude, y no queremos detenernos en esa parte. Por eso mi invitación cada vez que tomé la palabra era, señores, necesitamos que todo este puerto ya esté automatizado. Y para hacer la eficiencia, no solamente es que el camión cruce rápido o el chofer esté eficiente, sino que la tecnología tiene que jugar un papel importante en hacer de este puerto el más productivo, eficiente y tecnológicamente al día. Entonces, sí, yo conozco muchos colegas que también compito con ellos en tecnología, que tienen grandes desarrollos, que han hecho aplicaciones, y me da gusto porque eso me alienta a mí a ser cada día más agresivo en meter tecnología. Yo mando a los chavos a congresos, a que vayan a ver qué poquito podemos avanzar en la tecnología, porque pues avanzas muy poquito en grandes inversiones, y si pegas en uno, pues das un gran golpe, ¿verdad? Entonces, bienvenidos, cuando gusten, les dejo mis datos y júntense un grupo importante de muchachos y empezamos a interactuar. Tengo puros millennials, yo también, que son los que hacen los desarrollos, y ellos son los que me dicen cómo se prende la computadora.
¿Es que no me equivocaba?
Bueno, pero la empresa, yo no me detuve. Y yo tengo una frase en la compañía. Yo les digo, no quiero ver un Excel y eso es cierto. Está prohibido que yo vea a alguien haciendo en Excel, porque yo le digo, es una máquina de escribir sofisticada. Exactamente. Eso es todo lo que es un Excel, una máquina de escribir sofisticada. Entonces hay que desarrollar softwares, hay que hacer aplicaciones, hay que hacer tecnología, y eso es a donde vamos nosotros.
Así es, concuerdo con lo que dice Mario. Obviamente, a lo mejor Nicho no está diciendo que él no le gusta la tecnología. Sí. Para contestar la pregunta de nuestro amigo, sí es cierto que llegan a empresas y le tienen miedo a la tecnología. Añadiendo lo que dice Mario es, no se detengan ahí. No, si te cierran 3 puertas, síguele dando, porque va a haber mínimo 2.5 puertas abiertas. No te creas, hay muchas puertas abiertas que estamos apostando en la tecnología. Lo que decía el Excel hace ratito, no puedes permitir cambiar todo Excel. Fuera fabuloso que ni una hoja temporal se hiciera en Excel, ¿verdad? Que fuera bases de datos o las otras tablas automáticas o automatizado. Pero no se dejen llevar si alguien les cierra las puertas. Sí es cierto lo que dice Nicho, hay 3 generaciones ahorita diferentes, con diferentes pensamientos, y te puedes topar los primeros 5 que no les interesa, pero hay 25 que sí les interesa. Y aquí tenemos a varios, aquí estamos varios. Igual se les hace la invitación a que vengan a nuestras empresas, que conozcan, a ver qué se puede desarrollar, que estén ahí 1 día, 2 días, 5 días, los días que requieran viendo lo que hacemos, y a lo mejor ustedes ven algo que nosotros ni estamos viendo. Mario piensa, o yo pienso que estamos a la punta de la tecnología y no hay nada mejor y ya tenemos, pero ustedes vienen de otras industrias, otras ciudades, otros cursos o escolaridades y nos pueden enseñar. Entonces, no se dejen parar porque alguien les dice que no le van a invertir a la tecnología. Nomás
para aclarar, en lo personal, estoy muy a favor de la tecnología. Claro. Nomás que a mí, cuando llegué aquí, me dijeron, hay que ver qué es lo que está afectando hoy en día, la problemática. Y sí creo que ese juega un rol, pero en lo personal, convencido, completo. No hay mejor que la tecnología.
Perfecto. Regreso a tus clientes.
¿Ya se lo regresaste? Sí. Bueno, por favor.
Una pregunta, soy Adrián García. En un dispatch manager, ¿ustedes ven que eso sea un programa necesario que pueda trabajar con un empleado que sea guardia, para, en vez de hacerlo en papel, todo apuntar el número de la caja, el load number y todo eso, un programa que pueda el operador meter en su tableta en donde hace las millas y las horas, que ahí pueda meter toda la información y que reciban un PIN que pueden poner en la entrada de una yarda para no tener el problema que el número y quién entró y dónde está la caja, que si está aquí o en México. Un programa, ¿ustedes piensan que eso sea algo necesario que se pueda desarrollar para poder tenerlo aquí en Laredo?
Sí, mira, Adrián, importante. Todo eso más o menos ya existe, pero no está todo descubierto, eso es lo que yo les digo. Hoy en día, por ejemplo, nosotros desarrollamos el programa para hacer un intercambio de una caja. Cuando llega con nosotros ya son un tablet. El chofer trae información, lo pasa a todo el sistema. Hoy en día hay satélites que nos dicen dónde está la caja, vamos rastreando, todo eso, pero siempre hay áreas de oportunidad que nosotros no podemos ver, que ustedes sí van a ver. Por eso es la invitación, que vengan, traigan sus ideas, les enseñamos ese tablet, esa idea, ese satélite de cómo opera el camión, y ustedes le empiezan a tomar la idea de cómo evolucionarlo. Sí es cierto que existe mucha tecnología hoy en día en la logística, pero también es una gran verdad que falta muchísimo por desarrollar. Nomás se ha desarrollado lo elemental para operar, pero esas ideas de ustedes van a generar el cambio radical que necesitamos nosotros.
Definitivamente sí, a nivel, en las bodegas, definitivamente sí se pudiera hacer algo. Desde el momento de tener en una tablet donde ahí puedas hacer algún intercambio, donde el operador te pueda pasar por electrónicamente su intercambio, tú verificar las condiciones de la caja, tomar fotos en una tablet, y en el momento que tú lo estás haciendo, automáticamente alimentando la base de datos o alimentando la nube para tener acceso a esa información, definitivamente. Como bien decía mi colega, hoy en día pues como que estamos para sacar el trabajo hoy en día, pero la clave, y en una sola palabra, es la innovación. O sea, siempre tratando de estar buscando cosas nuevas y cómo lo podemos mejorar.
Perfecto, gracias. No sé si haga una pregunta más, creo que ya nos toca terminar nuestro panel. Fueron muy buenos comentarios de los dos, muchas gracias. Mario, Nicho, les agradecemos bastante su tiempo. A todos ustedes también. Van a seguir con otro panel y aquí le paso el micrófono a César. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes.
Al contrario, gracias a ustedes, y una vez más, las puertas de ALFA están abiertas. Si quieren conocer la operación de las agencias, de las freight forwardings, una llamadita y los podemos ahí colocar. Mario,
un placer estar contigo.
Y eres mayor que yo, pero andas en la punta de la tecnología.
Mario, muchas gracias. Agradezco mucho. Muchas gracias. Se lo agradezco mucho la información y su tiempo. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Igualmente, gracias.
Lo dejamos aquí, ¿verdad?
You okay?
All right, guys. So very, very helpful information. I think that was excellent feedback from industry leaders. That's going to help our teams develop that technology that's going to hopefully get them into the next century. Our next panel board consists of, we've got Mr. Ben Escarcega, Director of Yusen Logistics, Mr. Ruben Garibay from Select, very diverse entrepreneur, and Ricardo Sandoval. One second here. Sorry about that. Ricardo Sandoval, Vice President of Alterri Distribution Center. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Okay, is everyone ready for session number 2? Yes, it's hard to follow those great experienced professionals in our industry, but we'll do our best. So thank you, Cesar, for the invitation, and Olivia, and Roger, and Joseph, and everyone here. This is my first time to this facility. It's very impressive, so I congratulate everyone that's taken advantage of it. I moved to Laredo 13 years ago, and I'm very happy to see this type of development. Can you hear me well enough? Okay. Okay. So I think the panel today, right now, will be a little bit different from the first one. Mr. Ricardo Sandoval, he, as you mentioned, Cesar, is the Vice President of Alterri. Those of you that haven't driven on Killam Industrial Boulevard recently, please do. You will see a fantastic building that Alterri just constructed about a year ago. It's in terms of technology from the outside anyway, I haven't been inside, but I'm sure that they have thought of everything starting with the architecture. And then Mr. Ruben Garibay, he is with Select. You may have seen his trucks and trailers on the roads. I see him more and more, so congratulations, Ruben. So with both of them, we'll get different angles, mostly in English, but I think all of us are bilingual, or at least in Spanglish, in my case. If you want to ask some questions in either language is fine. So I'll try to focus the conversation on warehousing, on trucking. In my case, my background is trucking and logistics, global freight forwarding. So we'll try to give you some relevant information, and specifically, I see so many young people out here. I want to quickly ask a couple of questions just so I know what your perspective is on this talk before we dive into the details and I turn it over to them. So a couple of questions. How many web developers do we have here? Somebody asked a question a moment ago. I really want to know who our audience is. How many, any app developer? Okay, we've got one web developer, right? Okay, app developer. Or aspiring, don't feel intimidated by the questions. So his focus might be what kind of apps can he develop that would help our industry? Do we have anybody that is studying security or X-rays or anything that might help the importation of freight through customs from a security perspective? We talked about delays and inefficiencies. Is anybody taking courses that, you know, gamma rays and X-rays and all these types of high tech? No? Okay, how about oil, natural gas, engines? Fuel is a major component, and the technology around fuel constantly changing, but we can really improve our industry, especially trucking, through fuel. Anybody? Down here in South Texas? Autonomous vehicles? Somebody asked a question online about autonomous vehicles. Solar technology, South Texas? Jason? Okay. Those are just a couple of the items. I only touched base one time back there with the app developer. Can somebody else volunteer to let me know what your specific interest is? I want this talk to be relevant to the audience, especially the younger people.
Configuration instead of hard coding stuff, more of the configurable stuff, web-based platforms, so that way it's not system specific, you can pick it up on the web. So I've gotten a lot of way from the hard coding of probably some other fellows from here on and ladies, but more on the web-based.
Web-based, like, okay, cloud-based. Okay, any other volunteers before we dig into some of the details of trucking and warehousing? Cyber security, great one. That hasn't been mentioned yet. Thank you, Alistair. That is very key. Anyone else? Okay, so feel free. I was a student not too long ago. I was actually the last college class, probably, that went through school without the internet. So that tells you how old I am. I still remember my senior year and bringing all the books back. And I also had Facebook. My very freshman year, as Milo was saying, Facebook was literally a book of face pictures with names below it. And as an 18-year-old single guy, I was anxious to see who my classmates were. All right. Okay, with that, so you heard us, Ricardo and Ruben. We've got app developer, web developer, cybersecurity. So let's try to keep that in mind as we talk about our respective industries. Thank you. So, Ricardo, let's start with you. At Alterri and warehousing in particular, can you give us some insight into newer technology and maybe what you see our industry is doing and can do from an IT perspective for the audience?
So yes, is it on? So yes, in Alterri we do have our distribution center. So we receive a lot of our shipments in our facility, warehouse.
Let me make it a little higher.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Not that advanced in technology, huh? Well, contrary to our facility in Alterri, which you guys are more than welcome to invite. So we focus a lot on distribution, a lot of transloads, unloading and loading materials, right? So we do what it basically is hands-on. The problem is that a lot of people have that connotation that more hands in a certain product is more risk and more liability that a certain product could get damaged, right? So we've been focusing on is having visibility to the client, giving pictures, video of what we're doing, how we're doing it, that visibility that they could see the whole operation from their phone. And that's something that a client, you know, at the end of the day really wants. Why? Because, you know, people see truckloads, and I mean, we manage them and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, those are investments. You know, it's product that is an investment, and people really want to have visibility on it. So what we've been, you know, and I'll tell you what we've been doing is we've been investing in a lot of video cameras on our forklifts, you know, pictures, everything's web-based, everything's on our cloud. We're trying to give our clients access through, you know, a username, password, and they'll be able to, you know, see everything that we have in inventory and stuff like that. So anything that type of pertains to that is what we're trying to do. So the industry as itself is asking for more visibility, right? As the panel before mentioned, we became like the largest port or the biggest port right now, according to Forbes. So that's really interesting, right? But what does that mean? That means that there's going to be a lot more work, or that there is work that's growing. So warehousing in Laredo, I mean, what is it, like 25% houses and like 75% warehouses and trucks here? So it's something that's very important to us. So especially for web security, since we are touching into, you know, putting our feet into the water with technology and stuff like that, we are vulnerable for certain aspects of it, right? We've had certain circumstances where people, you know, they hack into your system, see what's going on, or sometimes even hijack your information. Not too long ago, we had a Trojan virus, which I didn't even know what that was, and so, you know, we started working with it. So it's something that's very important: security, visibility, anything that has, you know, that connection with the client and the product. You know, the times, the way that we're handling the product is very important. That's what we've been seeing that the market's been asking for, especially in distribution centers. And now with the integration of e-commerce, it's crazy. You know, there's certain different type of platforms. Every e-commerce platform has a different type of setup. You know, excuse my ignorance, but 2 years ago when we started dabbing into the e-commerce, we were like, Amazon is a platform. No. Every company now has their own like web page, and through them they move their e-commerce through there. It's hard sometimes, you know, you have to buy or you have to get into certain different systems and platforms just to be having the same communication with their clients. So anything that, you know, could synchronize that would be awesome. Any type of platform that could, like a collaborative platform that could help you from origin to final destination in regards to information, which is, you know, tracking the shipment, tracking the customs, tracking the warehouse inventory, where is it going, and then tracking its final destination as well on the road is something that we should look into.
Thank you, Ricardo. You mentioned visibility, and you know, that is really one of the key words in logistics. No matter what you're shipping or when you're shipping it or where you're shipping it to or from, everyone, especially if you're the owner of the freight, the beneficial of the cargo, wants to know, where is my freight? When's it going to be picked up, when it's going to arrive, and what's the status? So the question that all of us in the industry are constantly trying to adapt to and answer in the best, most efficient, visible way is, where is the freight? What's the status of the freight? So there's, you know, that's the big question, and then how you get down to portraying it. So I have my phone up here, not because I want to be checking my WhatsApp, or I don't have Facebook on my phone, for the record. But it's because of the importance of the phone itself to visibility. So now, for example, I have some trucks on the highways as we speak. I can go into this phone and just say, oh, I want to check to see where the cargo is. That wasn't possible just recently. And now we have something called electronic logging devices, which I'll turn over to Ruben and let him address as he talks with us about trucking in particular.
And as everyone on this panel has mentioned, technology is really something that most of us, particularly ourselves, we are actually, I think, the first company in Laredo, locally based, that took on electronic logs back in 2010. So it's something that I embraced very early on. Which led us to turn into team services because we couldn't actually operate legally with just one driver. So that's one of the items that I wanted to share with you all. The inefficiencies through where there's conveyance. You convey with a Mexican company, then you convey to a transfer, then sometimes you convey to a warehouse until the trucking company gets it. We're actually, as a company, we're actually just like Palos Garza at a smaller scale, but also doing international commerce with trucks and warehousing and such. One of the things that is very, very common in Laredo, you get the brokers that, as Mario mentioned, you got these applications that are all north states based that don't realize that you can't schedule all the trucks to deliver at Alterri at 8 a.m. Okay? Has anybody ever driven by Mines Road at 8 a.m.? You got lines and lines and stacks of trucks. Okay? Now, we don't want the scheduling system the doctors have because, you know, you show up at 3 and they see you at 5. Okay? For all the doctors that are in here. See, we really would like to have a queue system that really lines up the hours of service that drivers have with the available appointment times that the warehouse has, because they only have so much throughput capability. They only got X amount of docks, X amount of people, and if there could be software that's locally based where you actually literally queue a truck, that way we respect the driver's hours of service, we respect their availability, we're not stacking trucks up at their entrance where then there's a real hot shipment that really should be there at 8 a.m., but he's got about 7 trucks in front of him, and you take them all in because you don't want the guy in the back fighting with the guys in the front. So that is one thing that if you guys really start looking at just local base, it'll make the warehouses more efficient. They could probably do away with maybe having 3 or 4 guards at 8 a.m. And then having them not do anything for X amount of hours. Literally one guard could be more efficient because this is a truck that's scheduled. Now, anybody who knows like Walmart, you miss your appointment, you're toast. You could be there 4 or 5 days waiting for another appointment. Well, everybody knows that if you're going to deliver Sam's or Walmart, you better be there on time. But you know what? They work it like clockwork. They really do respect their appointments. What ends up happening is that sometimes your truck is stuck at, Alterri. I'm going to pick on you, okay? It's stuck at Alterri because, they schedule 7, 8 trucks at the same time. They can't unload them all, okay? So now you miss your appointment at Walmart because the truck didn't come back on time. So if there is a platform that is citywide where you can start queuing, it's one agent at a time, one warehouse at a time. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Everybody's going to want to get that freight because in this industry now, especially with the electronic logs, it's being the shipper of choice that makes you as a trucking company decide if you want to continue to do business with that customer or not. Because we only have X amount of hours to work. So the only way a trucking company makes money is by hauling freight and moving it. Miles, basically, we get paid by the mile, not by the load. So if I can move it faster for Alterri, then I want to get all the freight that Alterri has versus, XYZ forwarders. See, so what ends up happening is that AYZ forwarder starts to lose business and Alterri starts getting all the business because he's efficient. And now everybody's chasing that business, so what happens? It gets competitive. He can actually prove to his customers that trucking companies will give him better rates because of his efficiencies. Because we're not going to go over there and burn time or hit him up with detention with power, which is another thing in the industry. It's a way to compensate, but you're really only covering your costs. You're not making money. It's not an income source. It's just a way to defer and mitigate some of your losses from the inefficiency of a vehicle. So you did ask about electronic logs. Electronic logs do regulate the amount of hours a driver can drive. There's a lot of technology. The laws are just slightly being tweaked now. It's something that if you didn't get in on the onset, it's probably not something you really need to get into now unless you're going to, line it up with blockchain technology where now you can jump from one platform to another with a signature. And, we can get into that a little bit more about blockchain. So I'm not sure if I answered your question.
To go back on Ruben's part, and it's true. I mean, transportation companies get paid by the mile. We get paid by in and out. So it's something, efficiency on times and loads is something very important in the industry. And touching base on the e-logs, which were implemented legally 2 years ago, congratulations, in 2010. But 2 years ago, that's been having a huge bottleneck area in Laredo. And you might see it as well. Because the way that some warehouses operate, it's first come, first serve. And then there's some that have appointments, yet they don't respect their appointments. So that's when it gets a little bit tricky. what the problem is that like not only does the transportation suffer, but the client at final destination suffers as well, because his commitment, the commitment from the origin manufacturer was, at a certain day, a certain time, he's going to deliver. But if it gets stuck with me and then it gets stuck with him, he doesn't meet his schedule. So it's very important to tweak out the inefficiencies of the system, like Ruben said, and very well. For instance, we've been working very well with the time frames, and just to be able to help transportation companies, instead of doing a by hand interchange, we created a virtual interchange. It reduces about 17 minutes in total of what we have to do, being U.S. or Mexican. So there's little areas, not that just a NAP-based thing might help out, but there's also technology that you go to a warehouse, you go to a transportation facility, and you see what type of systems that they have, and you might be able to have new ideas. Like I believe it was Palos or Milo said that you have to come and actually see the things that we have, because we're so blinded by the day-to-day that you come with a different perspective and see something that we might be missing since day one. So that's something that might happen.
Yes, as they were talking about the headline today in Laredo surpassing Los Angeles, what a great accomplishment, what a great feeling. It's quite impressive. I didn't see the headline myself, so I want to read the exact details, but those of us that are in Laredo, and I think people are all over, right, Cesar and Roger, all over the country. Congratulations, pretty impressive. But those of us that are here in Laredo, we're very fortunate, and I'm excited to see so many people here, because you are in the best place where so much action is occurring. So what Mr. Palos Garza mentioned, and I know that most of us will also open up our facilities to have deeper conversations with you about your respective areas of interest, whether it be robotics. Somebody mentioned robotics. Did I see any hands go up for warehousing? Okay, that's definitely cutting edge. What is available in this market when it comes to the robotic handling of freight? Before I move on, and I see Alistair walking in the back, don't move yet, Alistair, you asked about cybersecurity. So cybersecurity, let's don't leave that off the table. It's critical. Our companies will get completely stopped. Our supply chains, our customer supply chains can be impaired quickly and tremendously if our companies aren't paying attention to cybersecurity. Who saw the WhatsApp headline just last week when it came to, well, first of all, those of us here at the board, I know most everybody uses WhatsApp, right? So my cybersecurity team at Yusen sent a quick notification to every employee in our company just a couple of days ago, I think it was Friday, saying you must check and make sure you have the most recent version of WhatsApp, although it's not an official app for our business, because if not, there was a loophole or whatever you want to call it, a way to get in the back of WhatsApp and do some damage. So it's an ever-present, omnipresent threat in our businesses. There are companies like the one that Alistair works for that is focused on that in many ways. Is anybody here studying cybersecurity or technology, firewalls, and that sort of protection for logistics companies? There's some real examples. There are some real examples of global shipping companies, including the world's largest, or at least some of the largest recently, that had tens of millions of dollars of damage because of breaks in their IT systems. So it's an open field for sure. I can't speak specifically about it. It's definitely not my realm. But what I do know is that the company that ignores security eventually can face some serious consequences. So if that's an area of interest, you're going down a great path. Do you want to mention security in any way in terms of technology?
Yeah, I mean, in our cases, and I'm sure like Palos got to say, anybody's got international, I mean, we've got businesses on both sides of the border. So yeah, technology and security, VPNs. I mean, I've got an IT department as well, and I mean, they're always looking out for stuff because, I mean, it happens. You get an email from somebody that you think is actually official business. It's not, and it's loaded but because you've already set that email address as a known and secure email extension or domain, then you get zapped with something. You know, luckily, you know, we've been able to catch them, but, you know, yeah, it starts to eat away, and while that happens, we go into shutdown temporarily. They just quarantine everything. That's our protocol. But yeah, you start losing money because then you start trying to go manual. You've got to break out the Excels. So it's something that it isn't definitely important, you know. So I'm not sure if, you know, he's the only provider, I guess, that's here, but I mean most companies nowadays have their internal IT guys that'll handle that as well.
And it is very important. It's something that could stop the business, like Ben said. We've had it, we learned it about 9 years ago. That's when we started making our own IT team. We had one of those viruses, and it stopped our operation for a couple of hours. And, you know, a couple of hours might sound, you know, very little for you guys, but that's a lot for us, you know, especially the information that you have and that you might be able to lose is very important. At the end of the day, that information, yeah, it belongs to us, but at the same time, it's our client's information too. So it's something that we have to be very careful with, and it's something that nowadays that it's the number one thing that you have. You know, you have your operations and everything, but you also have an IT team just ready for whatever happens as well.
LC starts back up their cybersecurity to 10 students for the next summer. They get a certification to the program.
Where? That's great. That's great. Another important angle of security, it's not necessarily related to software, but I mentioned it before, and it's X-rays. So a question was posed, and what can be done to have the increased efficiency of freight across the border? And those of us in the industry, we know that the border, as Mario said before, it can take 5 to 7 hours, typically these days, especially with the reassignment of staff in recent weeks. But you know, what happens at the border? Hopefully, if you haven't already been, you will go to the World Trade Bridge. The city of Laredo manages the office there. You can, since it's part of the city, you can park there and you can watch. You can observe the trucks. Those of you that haven't gone, there's up to 14,000 is the last number I heard per day crossing there. It's amazing. It's amazing to see. So what is the delay? If you break that down into hours and minutes and seconds, basically 1 every 5 seconds. That's a lot of trucks crossing the border constantly from roughly 8 in the morning until midnight. One of the main reasons for the delays or the time-consuming border crossing process is security. Our U.S. government, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, you have to think about what are their priorities. And we know about terrorism, drugs, contraband, illegal people, or undocumented, whatever the topic is, but there are priorities that U.S. Customs and Border Patrol have that they must uphold, right? So as part of that process, there is delays. It can take, instead of 5 minutes of driving across the river, it takes 5 hours. So what I would like to see in terms of technology would be a faster way to ensure what's coming into this country, for example, X-rays, as I mentioned before. I one time asked one of the chiefs at Customs, why don't you just X-ray every single truck that comes in as it comes in? And you know, I'm not privy to the internal workings of the U.S. Customs Border Patrol necessarily, but one of the understandings that I do have is that those X-rays are high-powered, and humans are driving those trucks every day, so you have to be very careful on the exposure that a driver will have to high-powered X-rays. So that means typically a secondary process where trailers are more carefully checked, and of course that adds time. So I think that one of the ways we can see quicker border crossings is to find a technology where U.S. Customs and Border Patrol can be more assured of what's in those trailers in less time. Much of that has to do with identifying what's inside the trailers, perhaps through you know, X-ray technology or whatever else it can be used to detect what's inside of those trailers.
Actually, I want to add something. There's always a workaround to everything. Sometimes, you know, there are certain facilities like CTPAT certified facilities. In Mexico now we have OEA, which is a higher level. I think, of pre-screening a company and qualifying them. And one of the things that I think would be fantastic for companies that are OEA level in Mexico is to have a way of conveying the custody and the inspection and sharing the GPS live with the bridge. I'm going to give you an example. If you got a particular load, and I'm going to come back a little bit to blockchain technology. It's got this particular trailer on this particular load, but this particular customer is given a blockchain signature. So that signature then through the manifest system, the ACE system, is then attached to that. And we're going to get priority. We're going to have a special lane so long as, you know, if I say the transit time from my facility to to a particular point at the bridge is exactly this, and it doesn't deviate because it's tracking it live. In other words, I just inspected it, and I'm putting my name and my certification behind it, and I'm sending it over to the bridge. It's going to get put basically first in line with this technology. This would obviously involve the government, you know, where you're working with their portal, that you're working with certified companies, but that would really give you a unique express lane. So you got the regular lanes, you got the fast lanes, and then you got these blockchain lanes where you're going to be able to bypass all that because, first of all, you're going to send it with a driver that's got, you know, everything's pre-qualified and everything. Now, what will this give you? Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on how much you want to drive the technology and how much of it is done either through video, through whatever premise the government decides that you can actually pre-screen a driver and a load at your secure facility and put it in transit to the bridge. You know, what does that entail? I don't know. I mean, you guys can invent that, you know, but that's just something. What is very different from the U.S.-Mexico border versus the Canadian borders, we also transport all the way to Canada and back. So long as your driver is fast, I mean, you just breeze right through them. I mean, it's like no borders in Canada. So if you compare the U.S.-Mexican border transactions and the bottleneck situations that we have, you know, again, crea fama y échate a dormir for those that know Spanish. There's a lot of stuff that comes from the southern border. But again, if you got the companies that have made the investment in security, in protecting assets, we canine every single load that leaves our facility, and literally I am quick to fire any driver that stops between my facility, which is only 2 kilometers south of the border, south of the bridge, and stops for tacos at the Nulo, you know, if they're done. I mean, that's it. There's no second chance because I've got 700 employees, and those 700 depend on our certifications. So if we could come up with something that we can convey to Customs and Border Protection, that trailer did not stop, you know, nothing was introduced to it because it was measured, it flowed, it got a special lane, you know, where it just quickly got to the bridge, then that could start the speed of commerce. I mean, it's just an idea.
And it's something that's ever ongoing. I mean, as we've seen, it just gets tighter. Security gets tighter in the border, and it doesn't seem to like lose grip. So the times that we've been having are, you know, as recently because of the reassignment, we've been losing a lot of time, and it's just the trailers take a lot more time to cross. But something, as Ruben said, just something in the technology software that we can allows the government to be able to see a purview of what's coming in with that security would be something great because there is a research done by the BTS where it says, I'm not sure how many millions, but we lose almost close to 1 million or 1 point something a day for the delays that we have just in commerce, just in Laredo. So imagine what we were missing and what an infrastructure that could give us for us. So it's something that we need to look into. It's something that, you know, the government does has its own systems, but you never know. I mean, like what I think Palos said, go ask them, you know, talk to them, see what we can do, and there's areas of opportunity for everybody because at the end of that day, the bridge affects transportation companies, logistics companies, warehouses, everybody in the supply chain, you know, in the supply chain. So it's something really important, really valuable for what we have right now.
And do we have any audience members studying AutoCAD or learning AutoCAD technology from a architecture perspective, engineering perspective? All right, I'm missing a lot of bullseyes here. Okay, good. Happy to see those hands go up. Technology encompasses everything, right? So I'm trying to hit it from different angles. So in the case of design, architecture, engineering, Laredo, those of you that are from here, and I've had the fortunate opportunity to be here the last 13 years to see it grow. It's just grown tremendously. So from a technology side, I think that our city in particular, and probably others, I'm sure LA is no different, and New York, need technology to help us have better flows of traffic. That may mean everything from stoplights to well-designed industrial parks to whatever else it may be to be able to process. In Mexico City, they built second level of highway, right? At the World Trade Bridge, we're about to get some more lanes for the free and secure trade, CTPAT certified carriers and drivers. That's going to help. But from a design perspective, you may think of technology and logistics from how to improve the flow of goods. Any comments on that?
As far as fast lane
design.
we've been
got
going
three young
at
people
it.
over
Yeah.
here and a few others that are interested in logistics industry and helping.
In design and bottlenecks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mines
I mean,
Road.
we outgrew our. I mean, I don't think the city planners, and I mean, through no fault of their own, we really didn't know what we were really sitting on. Really, Laredo's turned into a gold mine and just a magnet for truck traffic and U.S.-Mexican commerce. So really, through no fault of their own, we kind of are landlocked. Obviously, thinking outside the box, heck, even tunnels, double decks, whatever it's going to take. But yeah, I mean, we do, even a fifth bridge, I mean, they've talked about that. But as far as planning is concerned, yeah, that's obviously something that is also to be looked at. But if you just work with what you got and you actually find efficiencies in the current infrastructure that we have, through even timing lights, there's a certain time of the day where there's more southbound traffic than there is northbound traffic. Timing the lights would be something that is not out of the question. That's something that could be done, for those civil engineers that like to work with lights. Like the Fast and Furious, flick all the switches, when they need to go northbound and southbound. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of opportunities, for creative minds.
Another important topic in our industry that involves technology is safety. Perhaps should be our top priority, both in warehousing and transportation. When it comes to safety, there are various technologies, and I'll break the ice with one. On the trucks these days, and it's very different in the past few years, we now have lane change alerts. We have following distance alerts. Our electronic logging devices will tell me on my phone right now, I have an alert set that if one of my drivers slams on his brakes too hard, I'll get a text message. If he accelerates too fast, I'll get a text message. And if he runs over a curb and the trailer tilts too much, I'll get a text message. So, or an alert is the more proper term. So that technology is coming into play. It didn't exist 5 years ago. It's very exciting, but it's all about safety and the safety of the motoring public. There was a question about autonomous driving and driverless vehicles. In my opinion, we're still quite a ways away from that in trucking. It can work, but I'll let Ruben dig into that from a trucking side, and then ask Ricardo to mention about safety and warehousing and logistics in particular.
So yeah, the collision mitigation systems actually were introduced back in 2007 in our trucks. We've had them, in the industry, we've had them in our trucks in 2009. And since then have continued to order trucks with the collision mitigation systems. Not only does this help, in the safety, because obviously we all know that trucks take a lot longer to stop than an automobile does. We don't have Brembos. They don't make them yet. But as far as the time to stop a truck, you do want that assistance from the technology. Not only does it help the driver, but it also helps your insurance rates. We've got real good rates because of it. We are actually able to get self-insured this year because of that. So it's something that, as automotive engineers, bring that into the trucks. And I almost want to say that the trucks are a little further ahead than some autos are as far as that is concerned, because it's not just like a feature that is, it's just, for a little extra bell and whistle. When it comes to trucks and our risk, from lawsuits, it's a tool. So it's something that if there's some guys that are aspiring to be automotive engineers here that it would interest you, it's I think an area with being compounded with autonomous vehicles it's got a lot of potential. And coming back to, I think somebody had mentioned about the recintos fiscales being really tight. I'm gonna tell you one thing: if you had an autonomous truck that you drop the trailer off, outside, and the autonomous truck picks it up, my drivers don't have to hang around there or get hit with damages, because he's just going to drop it in the street. The autonomous, a spotter will come, grab it, and put it in spots. Literally, and you probably, I don't know if you have this, or Palos has this in their warehouses. I know Amazon does it. They actually, when they pour the concrete in warehouses, it's all by wire. They've got some guiding wires there. They'll just start packing that warehouse with autonomous technology. You could do the exact same thing in a parking lot. You can put some kind of copper or some type of sensors in the parking lot. It needs to be built from zero. Yes, it takes infrastructure, but there's a way to make it more autonomous. And with really tight space, you could probably pack a lot more trailers than you would normally. So that's just my take.
In the warehousing, going into perspective in warehousing, it's a very delicate situation as well. Safety is very important. You have anywheres, depending on what volume you're handling, but you're always constantly having truck drivers coming out of their trucks, coming into your warehouse, and during that time, you have Mexican transfer picking up trailers, other U.S. carriers picking up, are about to get loaded as well. So you always have constant movement with trucks and trailers, or even yard mules in your yard. And you always have people walking around. I mean, that's just how it is right now. But what we've been trying to do, or been trying ideas, is eliminate that. How can you eliminate risk of what you have? As Mr. Ruben said, the insurances look at those things, to be able to reduce your rates and see what you're working with, right? So in a warehouse, you're working with heavy machinery. If it's working inside, a forklift is considered a heavy machinery, so your insurance rates are pretty steep. As well as outside, you always have that risk of somebody getting run over. It is what it is. So, systems that could eliminate that, systems, somebody had mentioned the electronic, the yard management system, where you press a gate code and you walk in. That's something that, for us, I mean, just for a yard in itself, it might be okay, but as a warehouse, it's very different. But something similar to that, something where you eliminate the risk of the driver getting down, and it doesn't have to go to dispatch. Something where, they drive in there, they stay there, and your forklift operator is automatically informed of what he's going to do. So that's just in the outside. So in the inside as well, I mean, you have, depending on your volume again, but you have anywhere from forklift drivers to guys that are sweeping the warehouse to people who are just dedicated to unloading floor-loaded trailers, to maybe 15 forklift drivers. So you always have that constant movement and risk. Now, forklift also has those forks. It's pretty dangerous. There's safety countermeasures to be able to lower them down less than an inch away from the floor, stuff like that. So there's all this technology that some of it exists, but they're still pending. Some how you guys have that lane changing software, or something similar to that in the warehouse. As soon as something sends another movement close to it, it stops. That'd be something really, really interesting to have. But just in what we have, which is the biggest risk, is the drivers walking around the yard. Now, that's something that, pertaining to safety, is something that we should work on. And we're trying to eliminate that. We've been working with it. We've been creating geo-fences. We've been, seeing what we can do. But that is something where safety is very important, at the end of the day. And we have insurance companies and anything, but you don't want something tragic to happen like that, especially in your facility or anything like that. So regarding the safety, truck driver safety, forklift driver safety, employee safety, you have people walking around your warehouse doing inventories as well. So, there's, your jackets or colored jackets and stuff like that. Some people in the forklift have this sensor in the back that throws like a little light, and it shows when they're inside of a trailer, so people walking around could see it. I mean, the forklift has the sound, the whistle as well, but there's things that we need to add to be able to contemplate with that safety that we currently have.
You know, I kind of want to come back to one of my first points, the scheduling. You know, you reduce traffic. Let's say it's unsafe for two forklifts to be unloading side by side, which it is. You don't want to have two trucks unloading side by side. So with the scheduling software that I'm suggesting for our local warehousing, heck, it'd be marketed in LA, in Houston, any place. There's a lot to be gained in scheduling because you can actually schedule it down to the door. I mean, if you know you're going to go in there, you already have door number 4 at 3:30, and the next truck is on door number 7. There's already enough space there to keep the forklift safe at a distance. But it's being controlled through a scheduling system, which is connecting transportation, the guys that are jockeying trucks around in their parking lot and making it unsafe because now they both got doors number 10 and 11. You know, with a scheduling software, you can really get it down to that aspect. And I think it's something with as many warehouses as we have in Laredo and as many bottleneck situations that we have, all the congestion that we have, that is something that I think both transportation companies, local ones and local warehouses and logistics could easily get behind. You know, it doesn't have to be one guy. This could be a project, you know, for multiple mines, and I mean, I'd be a buyer. I'd be one of the first buyers on that, because we are always looking for efficiencies, and they're looking for efficiency and safety as well. I think they could even reduce security guards. We could reduce lost hours in our hours of service.
And you guys have to remember that Laredo, I mean, I don't like to say this, but to the people who don't work in our industry, they just see warehouses and there's a bunch of trucks and a bunch of warehouses, you know, like you guys are students in TAMU, right, and LCC and stuff like that, but you'll see that. And I mean, if you've gone to those schools and universities, when do they ever talk about, you know, certain warehouses or anything like that? We're barely seeing, you know, certifications, courses on what we do and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like everything you developed here in Laredo can function in any single port. You know, maybe not maritime ports, but, you know, any other land port. Why? Because we are the largest land port, and you have all the capacity to, you know, do your trial and error with the companies. You know, most of us are open doors for, you know, new ideas for IT, new ideas to innovate, and especially to reduce safety. I mean, to reduce risk and improve our safety ratings.
I was informed by Roger this week that Freight Hub, a company locally, I didn't know that it was founded and based here in Laredo, Texas, and that was exciting news. So what Ricardo said is exactly true. You're in the best place to develop this type of innovation. I mean, this is the perfect nest of innovation for you to test your imaginations at. Because if you can make it successful here, you can, I agree with that, export it to LA, to New York, Detroit, and any of the other ports, because they're going to have the same problems that this, or challenges that this port has. I'll mention another technology. You said Geo-Fencing. That is, for those geography majors out there, like me, back in the day. I went to school with MapQuest. That was the cutting edge technology at the time. And now, you know, we've got so much more advanced to the point of geofencing. So current technology, I utilize it quite a bit, very excited about it. You can set up a perimeter anywhere you want on the map, and when typically a truck enters or exits that perimeter, you can, again, get notified on your mobile device. So I have trucks leaving at 2 in the morning sometimes. I don't have to do anything except, unfortunately, look at my phone when it goes off at 2 in the morning. But mobile is definitely the future. Everything that you can do and make it mobile, including mapping and geofencing, has a future.
There's something that I was talked about by Mario that I really want to reiterate. I think you mentioned Freight Hub. I'm not familiar with that. Is that a home-based load board?
Like a no board.
It's a load board?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know the folks. I don't know. Are they here in the audience by any chance? Anybody from Freight Hub here? No? Well, the most popular tool in our industry is the DAT. I invite everybody to look at that technology. It's a load board. Most of the major shippers, all the major brokers are on it. But unfortunately, they're not based out of Laredo. And in Laredo, we've got one more factor that sometimes is outside of a trucking company's control. If you got a customs crossing that for whatever reason, you know, they got a yellow or a red or, you know, whatever the case is, and it didn't cross. Now you've got a truck that's stuck. But you could have had a shipment that crossed, and the truck, let's say it was B1, got stuck going southbound on an import red. So now you got a load that's sitting and a truck that's sitting. Neither one of them knows about each other. But, you know, it's sitting at his dock and his customer's furious. You know, and I'm sitting with a truck without a load and I'm furious. It'd be fantastic to put us together. You know, have that, it could start with just the expedited stuff. I mean, we, in our industry, in Laredo Motor Carriers, we got a little WhatsApp, but it's very different because you have to be watching it, and the traffic is just too much to be really watching it. But if you got technology that's homegrown, Laredo-based, that pre-screens every single participant in Laredo. Let's say every single warehouse is pre-screened, and every single logistics company in Laredo is pre-screened, and every trucking company is pre-screened. One thing you got to keep in mind, that you don't convey merchandise to just anybody. There's an onboarding process, which you can't do at 11 o'clock at night, okay? There's nobody there to do it. At least most companies don't have somebody at 11. But I'm gonna tell you something, if you got a truck stuck at 11 and a load that stuck, it'd be fantastic to be able to put those two together. So a home-based or home-based technology that allows for all that pre-screening to be done way in advance to put those two customers or those two needs together would be something that's very welcome. Remember, we got 14,000 loads. Now, not all of them are missing trucks, but I guarantee you, just from personal experience, I got 2-3 trucks that are stuck every day. You know, I'm moving more than 100 plus loads out of Laredo per day. And that's a 2-3%, and that falls into that million plus that they're talking about that are lost every single day. Where then the next day, if it's not going to make it with the team, then the only one making money is you know, the guys by the airport, you know, which are typically not Laredo-based companies anyway. So it really would be nice to keep the buck in Laredo. I think I used to be you guys don't remember, but maybe your parents do, but it was something that we used to say, let's keep the buck in Laredo. You know, so it's something that'd be fantastic to be able to have.
And adding to the geofence, and what Mr. Garibay said right now, it's true. Imagine a geofence system that, you know what, all these loads didn't pick up today and all these drivers were stuck because, like you said, it's very true. I mean, the red and the yellow could last hours, you know, and at the end of the day, the product gets hot. Sometimes it's automotive parts that needs to get to the plant, and you have nobody to take it and nobody to load it to. So going back to the geofence, something that, you know, you're able to put a geofence around Laredo. All these guys need drivers, and all these guys need loads, and something like that would actually really help, especially because, I mean, and it derives kind of like from the Uber and from Freight Hub, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't be the same thing. You know, it's just something helping out locally what we have and what we can do, because we are the biggest land port, hence because of geography, where we are, geography located, but also because of the hardworking people that we have. We do have a lot of transportation companies. We do have a lot of warehouses. And, you know, helping what Laredo is, it would benefit everybody here as well.
I'd like to open it up for Q&A now. We have our first question.
So what software programs do you guys use in your business, and maybe how can those programs be improved?
Currently, I use a home-based system. Always. Very good system. I outgrew it about 2 years ago. And we spent the last 20 months enhancing TMW. TMW is probably one of the largest. They're actually the creators of the AS400. Anybody who's been in the business for more than 20 years knows AS400. It's the staple. It's the gold standard. It is very expensive. Heck, I'll share, just so you guys have an idea what market you guys are tapping into. We spent a little bit over $250,000, and I still don't have the system. But they are really getting me everything that I want. It just takes a long time. So TMW by far operates companies like CR England, Celadon, Swift Transportation, Snyder. All the big guys use TMW. It's very expensive, but believe me, it's worth it. So yeah, there is a market. Now, not everybody is our size. We've got 300 trucks already. The most companies actually in the United States, if you look at statistics, 85% of all trucking companies have less than 6 trucks. So you don't have to think of the big software. I have it because of what we're planning to grow. But there's a lot of market and a lot of ways to make good money in software if you got a good solution.
For us, we do, for our warehousing management, we do a WMS called Magaya. We started working with them about 11 years ago. It's a good WMS system, which means warehouse management system. There wasn't that many available, and if there was, they're not accustomed to the market that we have here in Laredo. It's very different, and that I can't reiterate that much, but we see what we have here, and that's about it. But the warehouses out of Laredo, out of the borders, are very, very unique and very different. They handle themselves completely different than we do. So when we started working with Magaya, we needed to, make it towards our benefit. We invested a lot of money into it, and we're still doing it. It still doesn't do what we need to. It's based out of Miami. I mean, they're big, and they charge you licenses. So just imagine, for every dispatcher, you're paying about, $2,000 a year, plus monthly fees, plus whatever you need, plus storage in your cloud, plus all of this, and then you need the server protection. So it's at the end of the day, it's a huge market for systems. The rest of the systems that we've created with students here in TAMU. We work with them. We have over 4 systems that we developed in-house just for our warehouse management system. So it's pretty good. We created load boards. We created Geo-Fences. We've done a lot of things. So, and I don't know, I might not be speaking for everybody, but I'd rather have somebody develop something here locally to our benefit, to our industry, than us paying thousands of dollars somewhere else for something general that's not going to benefit us to its complete end.
To that answer, I wish I was in the same circumstance as them. I am working for a company that's based in Tokyo, and our software applies to our global enterprise, which is now more than 500 offices in 50 countries. So what we do here in Laredo can't be an outlier software, unfortunately. I would love to call, and have hands-on. So it's a bit of a different challenge. Our software is based out of Australia, and it's called CargoWise.
Not sure we answered your question.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's always enhancements. Like he mentioned, I mean, TMW has a lot, but it does also integrate. Most of the big softwares will have a particular portal, where it does data interchange, where we then do, we develop our own interchange system, our own digital interchange system, our own system to charge demerges through Skybits, and paired it up with our current system. So yeah, there's always room for enhancements that can be done outside that are particular to a border situation, because like he mentioned, trucking companies, it's not typical for a trucking company anywhere in the country to convey with a third party. Most companies that travel into Canada are the same companies that are US based or Canadian based. They just cross the border, they don't convey. In Laredo, in particular on the US-Mexican borders, there's conveyance. We go direct, we barely convey, but the norm is a US company conveys to a transfer conveys to a Mexican trucking company. So there's a lot of particulars and always a lot of need to enhance those particular needs.
Thank you.
Earlier when I was speaking with Roger, he mentioned the interconnectivity, and API is a common term we hear now. So if any of you are into that, developing connections between software systems, there's definitely a lot of opportunity there. The ELDs that I mentioned, that's a completely different software and platform than this global freight forwarding system that my company is using. So yes, we have to develop an API between the ELD that's here in the US with our trucks to the Australian platform. So it's always a challenge. I think there's just a tremendous amount of opportunity there if you can learn how to create those interconnective software APIs.
I concur. I'm going to back that up because I've got tire management software that I'd love to pair up with my other software, just because that one takes depth, air pressure, and scans the barcodes that I've got on my tires. So I don't want to give that one up. So I kind of run it like on the side, and then we consolidate and we transfer the data more for an accounting purpose. But I don't really mine the data. And coming back to, we have all this data, all these statistics that we keep track of, all these databases, but we're not mining it. So it's like, and quite frankly, we either run a business or sit there and mine all day. I've got people that are mining, but there's just so much manual work that if you could create apps that actually mine the data and just allow you to work by exception and deal with the exceptions rather than, this trader came in, everything matches, barcode matches, the tire pressure matched, and I got to keep looking at all that. No, just the exceptions. This one didn't match. That would be something fantastic.
And going also to the API, and it's something in the warehousing. I mean, nobody has the same platform, especially in our clients. They want status updates, they want this, they want the locations of where the product is, and this and that. So everybody's asking you for the for the API, and it's hard, right? Because sometimes you might give them the information, but then they have to manually put it in, and then so everybody wants to avoid that. So right now, systems with API systems that could be interconnected is something that the industry is striving for a lot right now. The visibility, again, it comes back to visibility and communication, which is the key to what we do in our everyday.
Yes. I want to touch to your subject, your point, visibility and expedition. Basically, how fast something goes. I'm a Flutter developer. I've been working with the San Antonio branch kind of like for the year. It's been a baby, but what stopped you from actually just integrating it with Google Maps and getting interconnected with your freights, your trucks, getting that like system queue? I've been seeing a lot more changes recently. I'm kind of like frightened. This is like a lot of people, but you can see as Google Maps progressed right now, you can open it up and say, hey, there's been a crash at McPherson. There's detours. We've already established that. I already know the information, how it's supposed to be laid out. But what kind of just impeded you to say, why not Google Maps?
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
I'll take this one for the warehousing perspective, and then see how I could do it in transportation. For the warehousing, visibility, actually just the Port of Laredo is known, or it was known as a black hole. I mean, just the lack of information of it, or just communication of where the trucks is, where the product is a huge thing. Going back to customs, if it's in red and yellow, you'll tell the client, hey, well, they got red in the bridge, and they'll be like, well, where is it? Well, it'll come out in a little bit, and maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then in 6 hours, where is it? I mean, you don't exactly know. Maybe it's in the gamma rays or wherever, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, all that visibility is not because you're tracking just the shipment. Clients want to see what's going on with their product, like not just where where it's being transported. For our case, in our warehouse, we've had visibility with our cameras, with our video recordings of the shipments, how we're doing our shipments. There's a whole yard management system. So we've created different types of visibility, but it's also very, very hard to do it kind of like a Google. And I might be stepping on your toes a little bit, but the way Waze work which is the Google type of what you're talking about, the driver puts in the information. Do you want to know what a fine is if a truck driver starts texting and driving on the road? I mean, it's horrible. So it's very different Maybe there was, something where you just talk to it and it tells you and it writes it, maybe. But other than that, for the visibility pertaining to our field, it's about the product visibility, not about the geolocation of where it is. So it's a little bit more complex than that.
And for transportation, especially cross-border, you've got the risk of security. Let's say I'm hauling a load of tequila. I don't want the whole world to know that I've got, $276,000 worth of, platinum tequila. That's not something you want to completely advertise. So this is where we come back to, there's a lot of platforms out there, but you've got to be able to find a way to allow them to talk to one another, but only the person who's supposed to see it sees it. I keep coming back to blockchain. You put a signature on something, only the person who's supposed to look at it can see it. But you're using those platforms to manage them, to bring them together. Today, all my trailers have Skybits. All my trucks have Qualcomm. So I've got a redundancy in tracking. So as far as tracking is concerned, not a problem. I even track my drivers. They have a personal app on their phone. They could be inside the truck stop, and I can still assign them a load while they're sitting inside the truck stop. They don't have to be in the truck. So I can track my trucks, my drivers, and my trailers all separately. But they're all separate. They're in 3 different systems. I come back to that, or to the API. I mean, I'd love to hire somebody. If you're an API expert, please come see me. Please raise your hand. You pretty much have a job already. So literally, the guys that can put all this stuff together and still comply with the secure requirements, where it's not just open and you start seeing everything, that's going to be the key. So to answer your question, why haven't we done it? Well, that's one of the reasons. We can't just put it out there, okay?
All right. And respective to Google Maps, we are using Keep Trucking ELDs, which is supported by Alphabet, and it is connected to Google Maps. So the Geo-Fencing in particular and all that other data that I mentioned is coming from Google Maps.
Where can I get more information from it? So I was kind of like leading into another different point of thought, but thank you very much for clarifying it. And thank you.
I mean, you want to elaborate on your question?
Yes. So basically, security is one of the main issues, so privacy wouldn't be expanded on. So one of the main reasons, like I would say, like, oh, maybe like they just needed this little thing. But in reality, I was based on another project where 911 call operators and geolocation. So it's kind of completely different. So basically, it's like saying like we don't meet eye to eye in a project that we don't see fit.
Okay, but you were saying, I mean, something you did spark a question. But you can actually do something like, hey, I have a load and here's a truck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. Nothing happens there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but again, you need more than just that. Remember I said you need, in transportation, by federal law, the motor carrier law, you have to have had a conveyance or a pre-screening. But today there's a system called, it's a registry, RMI, the RIMS. So that's a platform that if you can tap into them, like through licenses, they do pre-screening. But with an application, you can have that pre-screening done by that company that's already invented it. They actually license it. And tag it together with geofencing. Okay, there's all these trucks. They're all pre-screened, and I need to cover a load. And they're here in Laredo. It could be something as simple as that. I mean, from there, while the technology improves, there's always call the driver or call the dispatcher for this particular truck, if they're participating in the platform.
All right, thank you very much.
Since we're talking about connecting loads and trucks, we mentioned the other day as well. I think there is an opportunity. We mentioned Uber Freight a few times, Freight Hub, but here locally in this market, there's still a lot of movements between our 1,000 warehouses, as were mentioned before. And I think we're all still doing business the old-fashioned way, which is calling the trucker that we know the best or trust the most, which is great. But sometimes even they don't have trucks when we need them, or they might have them 3 or 4 hours later. So if anybody's into developing a service sort of like Uber Freight, You might want to have a test run here, microcosm, and just do it here at the Laredo local drayage, as we call it, market. Developing an app for where we could, contract local drays here locally.
So I have a quick question, and it's kind of regarding what you guys were talking about when the trucks finally get onto this side of the border and they obviously start piling up and you need either transload. What's the bigger pain point? The fact that you can't schedule them, or the fact that they get there and they have nowhere to park? What would be either a bigger solution, or do you need both to exist in order for it to complete?
I can get this one.
Go ahead.
We don't need parkings. I don't want parkings. I want efficiency. I mean, if you have to build to address the problem and not the core issue is that scheduling, that the inefficiency that's not necessarily driven by anything other than numbers. One time I got into an argument with somebody, I can't remember what it was, but it has to do with the customs agents. They say, well, heck, all the customs agents just send you all the stuff at this one time, and that's what we bottleneck. Not necessarily. If you look at their driver, also has to do with the banking system. They can't pay their pedimentos after a certain amount of time. So it's not really their fault, although everybody likes to blame them. Personally, I used to blame them until I started really looking at it and just saying, well, okay, there's more factors. What would be fantastic for them? Well, heck, if you could pay Bitcoin 24/7, you don't need the banks, But there has to be a technology where you either queue or you prepay something to allow it to start going 24/7, where then you can spread the flow, the traffic flow. Because right now we have all these peaks and valleys, because I'll be honest with you, when I send money to my Mexican organization, I wait till a certain time of the day where the type of exchange is better. So that might hold some things up. It doesn't in my case, but if you're looking at it from the same thing from a customs broker, they might be waiting to queue a certain amount of transactions, and then they ram them all through at the same time. Their customer might be batching them also. So there's a lot of things that are really driving that, but the bottom line is it's efficiency is really the key. You're not going to address anything by adding more buildings, more cross docks, more of this, that, and the other, if you're not addressing what's driving all that. There's a lot to be gained in efficiency.
So, Anna, talking to your question, I mean, in Laredo, there's over 1,000 warehouses, right? But none of them, or very little of them, are built for efficiency. See, it's very hard for somebody to, you get a client, you get some certain amount of shipments, and it's like, oh, well, now you have to throw down so much money to make it more efficient just for them. So a lot of people don't like to do that. In our case, and you've participated as well, you saw that our main interest in acquiring a warehouse was to make it efficient since the design, since before we even had a truckload there. So the way we designed our facility was to create that efficiency, to avoid all those bottlenecks. So sometimes for us, and it's not, like you said, it's not more truck parking spot. I mean, I wish they just could get there, unload, and get out, right? But it's more it's the efficiency and the inefficiencies that we have in our current industry. There's a lot of inefficiencies that we're currently handling. Just to say, you get to a Mexican custom broker from northbound, they have to unload you in what's the average? 2-3 hours, 4? Okay, see, and that's a warehouse that might not be designed for that. Our facility is doing, X amount of shipments, and we're doing it at 1 hour and 29 minutes since last year's, and we're talking about over 50,000 shipments, and that's our average. So you'll be able to see that the way you build, the way you design, the way you look at your business, it's also the way you create efficiencies. So not only is it just in the lack of things that we have or we might not have, it's the mentality of the people that are working with it. You can have the most efficient processes, but if the people are not looking into that or they're not working for it, they're just never going to work. And for us, it's not something that we do extraordinarily different than everybody else. It's just that we pay attention to the small details where the KPIs matter most to us right now. So that's, in our regards, that's what we, what efficiency is going for. And
you mentioned the transloads, which is a common term here in the market now. One of the key KPIs that's driving the need for more transloads is the imbalance in trade deficits, right? How much southbound versus northbound freight? And we all know that there's more northbound than southbound, so when that occurs, there's delays in getting the dispatches northbound much of the year, right? There's seasonal and there's peaks and valleys, et cetera. That's getting us into politics a little bit, which we're not going to touch. But that does come into play. I'll be happy to talk with you about that and how we try to work around that, including transloads as a potential option to increase the dispatch of northbound efficiencies.
If I can ask a follow-up question real quick. So has Uber Freight not come into possibly providing a solution that includes this issue of scheduling? Or has it just been very basic as much as typical Uber is, which is point to point?
It depends what type of scheduling. Scheduling for northbound or?
For the warehouses. So understanding what trucks are coming in at what time and if it organizes them and preps you with certain types of information.
I mean, Uber Freight does give you kind of like a positioning of where it is, kind of. But at the end of the day, for us, if it's help us scheduling, no, it wouldn't. For us, as in northbound, because we depend on all the Mexican custom brokers unloading and leading free of all the U.S. carriers at any given time. So you might be a driver coming down south to Laredo and have a schedule with the appointment with the custom broker at 9, and then you book an Uber Freight with me at 12, but you get out of that warehouse at 1, you lose your appointment. So for us, Uber has not been an efficient tool just because our market's very different the way it's handled through here, I guess.
Also from the security requirements that are very important for cross-border business, a company that is probably on Uber Freight is probably not hauling for General Motors. Yeah. They're in two different worlds, two different realms. I see Uber Freight as a competitor. And the bigger companies won't use Uber Freight. So the guys that are going to be coming in are also going to have a very limited market in Laredo, just because of the conveyance requirements that you have in Laredo, because of the cross-border business.
Also remember that Uber Freight is designed for, for shippers. So why do I say that? Because most of the shippers go for like the lowest rates they can and book any of the lowest transportation companies they can get, but you pay what you get for, or you get what you paid. So at the end of the day, like you said, those companies won't work with you. You have to have a good insurance standing. You have to get a good standing and everything else in your safety scores and stuff like that. And Uber, it won't provide those type of companies that type of insurance with them.
Sounds like a good potential topic for a future conversation, Olivia. The impact of Uber Freight and those sorts of companies. I think it is really cutting edge, but in its existing state, there's so many factors that are obstacles or even challenges or questions. But in my personal opinion, I do think there's a significant future for it. But a lot has to be resolved before it's very impactful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My question is, if you use Excel, in which area do you use and why?
I'll take this one. So we try not to use Excel. I guess that's kind of like where everybody's leaning towards, leaving it behind. But you do have some certain clients in Mexico and Monterrey and Guadalajara. It's like, me mando un Excelcito, which is, for you, it's like, I got all these systems and username and passwords and, all of this for you just to type it up and, see it through. So it depends. I'm pretty sure that our companies don't really like to use Excel. If we could avoid it, we avoid it. But in areas as in, inventory controls for certain clients and time schedulings for certain clients of, how long did the transfer take or whatnot, or inventories. Some of our Mexican side clients really want Excels, and it's kind of culture based, I would guess. For us, it's very easy. You get a username, password. You get on a software, and you're being able to see your history, your everything. And for them, it's particularly more, I want my inventory in Excel. They divide it by what they do. So you'll see it more, and for us, it's more in inventories in our warehousing than what we have it. What we do now is everything's in a software system, and basically when they ask for an Excel, we just download it in a different format, put it in Excel, and then ship it out. But personally, we do not appreciate Excel.
I concur. I mean, he pretty much hit it on the nail. It's really culture driven, the requirement. I mean, I've got customers that literally on the Mexican side, the same customer, the plant that's shipping wants it in Excel, and the U.S. side, wants you to get set up EDI. So you're sending EDI communication, 214s, I mean, as live as you can go, and the guy in Mexico still wants the Excel update on where the trailer's at. So it's cultural. We also do have our system just process it right out of our system, a little batch file, and we keep sending it to them. So it's really just cultural. There's really no driver behind it. We really don't have any need for Excel ourselves.
I do see Excel used quite a bit still, pivot tables, et cetera. It does seem to be, in the conversations, becoming sort of an archaic software, and I hate to say that, it's probably not, but it doesn't seem to be very favorable in terms of what's available. So what we do try to use instead of that is, and as I mentioned, visibility before, and we're not the owners of the freight. We're all transporting or handling somehow. We have to inform others the status of their freight. So that typically means either sending an Excel to 100 different people, or you use the cloud, use web-based, and smartsheet.com is a good example, where you have an Excel, it's not Excel, but it looks like Excel, online that these 100 different people that are interested in the shipment can go in at any time they want and see the most recent updates that you would otherwise have input manually into an Excel and sent an email. That's one example. I've had customers say, we don't want Excels, we want live updates. So we start sending them from our system automatic alerts with geofences, et cetera. Every hour they get an email or they get a text message. And then eventually they say, that's too much, too much, too much. Stop sending me so much information. Just send me an Excel report twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Okay, so I think it still has its place, or something similar to it like Smartsheet, but it does seem to be, getting surpassed in the industry by other software examples. Google Sheets is another one, Smartsheet.
That's what we do a lot. Certain clients that really want Excel, we just create them an email through our Gmail systems, and then put a Google Sheets, and through there they're able to see live what we're doing. Again, and you'll see it, and it's culture. So we try a little bit to prevent it, but at the end of the day, in our everyday, we have to work with it as well, still.
You use Excel in certain situations, and you are open to create a custom software to automate that part of the process.
Yes. It's plain and simple, yes. You'd rather have that automated service than somebody having there to do the Excel for you. So yes, I would actually be really interested in that. Having to be able to avoid all the, it's all data entry, Yeah. And you have to hire people just for the data entry that you could actually just do it on a system. So it's like, I would be really interested in that.
Thanks.
We're going to ask two last questions real quick. One of them's from online, and then he's going to ask one question. If you can keep your answers brief, we'd appreciate that, so that way we can wrap up the night. And we thank you all for your time, incredible insights. So we want to respect your time to do that.
You're kicking us out, Roger, or what?
I am. No, never.
Stay all night.
We want to keep you all excited to come back and keep coming back.
A Japanese company, work's just getting started.
Oh, perfect. Okay, in that case, however long you want, right? First question from online is, are you using cloud servers? I know we've heard a lot about local servers. There's this idea that it's somehow more secure to have it locally. But and I know that not going to the cloud was also a security reasoning. Are y'all making that shift over, and what's made you more comfortable? And if not, what will get you there?
Cloud, definitely cloud. I mean, the redundancy, the high level of security that you have now, user base, VPNs by individual. I mean, just the reporting aspect of it and the security aspect of it is definitely the way to go. You want to be protected, outsource it to the experts. Somebody who's been doing it. Ours in particular is on Rackspace, and we're very, very happy with it.
We do both. We do actually cloud-based, and also we have our servers. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what type of service we have, because I'm not really an expert in that, but we do have servers, and then we have a cloud server that transmits the information to our servers. So we have our servers at our office actually send the information to the cloud. That cloud actually, and then from that cloud sends information to our servers at our house. So it's actually, we have all the information from the click of my bedroom, what's going on. So we're really happy with it as well. We've seen Oracle, we've seen Rackspace. We use a little bit of Oracle, and it helps out as well. Like you said, you leave it to the experts. Why even mess around with that?
I would agree with what both of them say. Cloud is definitely seems to be the preferred method of moving forward. I'd have to defer to our CIO, but yes, I think that's the right answer in our company as well.
Thank you.
My question is, aside of the technology we've spoken about today, what kind of licenses or certifications would you guys recommend for a young company to help be legitimized and be able to compete with some of these bigger companies?
CDPAT's #1 right now. For any of the cross-border operations that we have, CDPAT, ISO 9000, 2015, like you said, the OEA, depending on what type of industry you're working in.
Specifically transportation and freight brokerage.
He's your expert on that.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned 3 that are very important. Now, unfortunately, you can't be CTPAT unless you're crossing. However, there is talk. As a matter of fact, in the new symposium they're going to have for CTPAT, they're going to start addressing technology. It may be that you can actually now be certified in technology. It's something I would definitely look into. CTPAT. It wasn't there before, but now that they've even started saying those cyber alerts now, CTPAT is really embracing technology. OEA definitely. I believe there is one for OEA already. That's something you would also have to look at. But as far as like other industries and things that licenses that you would need to get into, I would look up a company called Trimble. Look at various softwares that they have that they license, like Skybits is one of them. The platform Skybits is probably the #1 trailer tracking system, because they're not only in the U.S., they're global. Their technology allows them to hook onto just about every single different cellular system that there is. So you can ship a container from the U.S. to Japan, and you would have been able to track it all the way through. So it's something that we use that technology to give customers their updates. But I'm still looking for something through the API that Roger mentioned, where we could marry that with even more software, more platforms. So that's one of them that I would look at. And it could be any number, anything that allows you to share information in databases, and that'd be something that you could definitely build on. Anything having to do with tracking.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. We really, really appreciate your feedback and your expertise. Let's give them a round of applause. I just want to mention that this is the first step in the MileOne Innovation Challenge. So teams are forming as we speak, and we want to invite everyone around the world to take advantage of this opportunity to develop technology that will positively affect our number one port in the country. And so for more information, please go to mileoneinc.com, check our platforms, on Facebook and so forth. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you answer them. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to having you back again. You have an open door here at MileOne, and I wish everyone a nice evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.